Let out your wild child. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable FORTSTOCK event.
We wouldn't trade anyone for our next speaker. Put your hands together for Brian Kramer from Accu-Trade and Cars.com.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Brian Kramer is with us. He's the Executive Vice President at Cars.com and the General Manager of Accu-Trade. Brian, so timely, this discussion. We put a little name up here, the Tesla effect, but you've been talking about this, and on the panel yesterday, we got a lot of positive feedback on that.
No, it's kind of an electric topic at the moment, because I think a lot of people are underestimating Tesla. And, a lot of times I'm very curious about companies like Tesla because they're doing something different, like Carvana, or, the same thing that all the independents do in the service departments. And I think that a lot of people's initial biased reaction, which is what mine used to be, is to push back against this and say, well, it's something different, or they don't include it in a market share registration report, or, where mobile service, where are they getting these cars serviced at? But they are. It's just they're a little bit ahead of us because it's mostly tires and what we're about to experience without combustion engines, right? And a different type of workforce. And I think mobile is where it's all going. But more importantly, everybody's trying to get to that point. And I think that maybe some of them are going a little bit too far. But the interesting thing that I saw recently is these price changes. And when Tesla changes their price, it seems like everybody else follows suit.
You recently published, I think, beginning of September, there were 2 articles in your newsletter on LinkedIn. And by the way, everybody, if you're not already subscribed to Brian Kramer's Automotive Update, I would highly recommend it. He's got great articles on LinkedIn. The first one is, what effect did recent price changes have on resale values? I'm going to ask you to speak to that. And you follow that up with another very timely article. Here it is, the Appraisal Danger Zone. So I'd like to, if you don't mind, Brian, today, if you could speak to both of those, because I think that's right on target.
So I'll talk first about the danger zone, and I'll transition into the lightning article. So Elon Musk recently, without notice, there was some rumblings on some of these forums. They lowered prices anywhere from $4,000 to $18,000 on Tesla X Plaids, the one that's like 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60. Which goes to show you how much margin they had, which is interesting. But I don't think it's much different than the dealer cash or the other things that people have done. It wasn't so in your face as to, okay, we just lowered the price and now there's this cascade waterfall effect on all the other used cars that you currently have in inventory or that consumers are trying to buy or trades that they were about to appraise. So it's a volatile market. The standard is 60 days, to turn your inventory. But this is disrupting that in a gigantic way. And I look at it like, if you look at it like a parts fill rate, if it goes in batches, which is what's happening, is everybody will pump the brakes for a second. Hold on, I don't want to buy those. I don't want to take those in on trade. And we'll transition into the Ford Lightning in the same way. So what happens when all of this stuff starts happening? Indecision, risk aversion. What do I do in this situation? Which, if you have enough data and you have enough data points and more data than maybe your competitor does, then you, in an efficient market, you have a competitive advantage. And I think that's the key. And that's one of the things that we're doing at Accu-Trade to try to give dealers a heads up. I know you and I had talked offline about rental cars or loaner cars with the luxury makes. Mm-hmm. It's coming. It's already there with Mercedes-Benz, with the EQS, and many, a lot of these electric vehicles, BMW, and everybody's going electrified, right? So that volatility is not just in the consumer as you're appraising cars, let's say on the service drive or in the showroom. It's in your loaner fleet. And if, God forbid, they change this, like an Audi e-tron, if somebody's got 3 or 4 of those because the OEM wants to get, customers in, and I think that's an amazing vehicle. But that's one of the most volatile people are still appraising them like, yeah, it's a good looking car, but it's got a 216 market day supply or a 232 average days on market. If somebody's, if there was a part that was sitting on the shelves that long, that wasn't a special order, everybody'd be losing their minds. Mm-hmm. Yet we don't, as dealerships with when that happens on the sales side and we just put average money in it when it's not an average car, and we know it's not a fast turning part or asset. And I think that the way that we look at data and the way that we connect the data points, connected car, and all of those things needs to be in real time. And 60-day turn on used car inventory, I think 5 years from now, we're going to be laughing about that. Just like probably parts managers are laughing at how used car managers manage their inventory right now. Like, oh, I wish because they manage it more like a produce.
That actually is a discussion on the roundtable. We have parts managers talking about that. Yes, that exact topic. Yeah.
Yeah, because for their discipline, that's insanity. And it kind of is insanity with used car value. So if we go into the Ford Lightning, there's also, I don't know if you can pull it up, but within that article, there was okay, perfect. That's it. So 2022 Ford Lightning. A lot of people don't want to put a value on this car because it's crazy volatile. On January 19th at 10 a.m., July 19th, which is on the bottom of the screen. Ford lowered the price on these $10,000 at 9 a.m. in the morning. At 10 a.m. in the morning, I was getting phone calls because we were already priced at 45,000 and some change, whereas every other appraisal tool was at 60,000, give or take 1,000. Now the difference is, if you think about like General Motors RIM program, they've got some intelligent logic built into that, but it's based on what prior sales were, what they're forecasting you're going to sell. It's a lag measure of I think it was 45 days, which is how these are calculated with a market day supply. But what it doesn't do, it'll tell you what's going on through the rearview mirror, but other appraisal tools don't tell you what's about to happen through the windshield. So as I'm getting a bunch of complaints, hey, you're off 15 grand from everybody else. There's something wrong. It's not something wrong. The cycle just hasn't gone through with, okay, that was on a Tuesday. Friday is the auction. So until the big auction, until that auction happens, we're not going to have that data to be able to react. So everybody that was appraising cars Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that weekend, until it updated on Monday, are over appraising all these vehicles at an inflated number because they're looking at lag data 100% instead of 50% lag, 50% lead measure data. And now you can see that on July 31st on the top of the screen, everybody else was getting a lot closer to where we were. And if you look at it today, everybody, ourselves and all the other appraisal tools, are within $1,000. But the speed at which these EVs are transacting is unlike anything that we've ever seen. It's like having a whole lot of platinum, Highlander and RAV4 hybrid Toyotas or primes that everybody wants, and they're just fluctuating the prices so quickly that you can't keep up with it. So the traditional methodologies that we've used are going to have to change. The speed at which somebody comes onto the drive is going to have to change. There's technology now with connected car where it can pull your odometer and auto-populate it. It's like the fifth screen of your tech stack. We're working on a technology with some of the alignment rack companies and the tread depth measurement tools that as soon as they pull on there, we're building out APIs for their camera technology to take a picture of the whole vehicle. That'll populate the appraisal. Tread depth, obviously, if they're cupped, if they're not. What's the alignment reading? That will iframe right into our condition report. So half the appraisal's done. Got exterior photos. You've got the tread depth. Now all you have to do is literally walk around. We use an OBD that does 109,000 DTC codes with Mitchell parts and labor pricing. So that's 90% of the appraisal. All they have to do is just visually inspect it because the pictures are already taken, and that'll be it. So by the end, and that'll be released in Q4. So the dealerships, we were just with a dealership yesterday that writes about 10,000 repair orders a month, a big store in South Florida. Okay. And they're putting a dedicated team to do that. But now they're combining technology and all these data points to almost turn their staff into superheroes that can accomplish 4 or 5 times more work instead of adding headcount.
How many people are they going to have in that team? Do you know?
They're going to start off with 12.
12
just acquiring vehicles
at one dealership.
At one dealership.
Ryan, this is really turning the whole trade cycle game on its head.
And if anybody's watching this today, if you're having any retention issues, this is a Toyota store, so they're trying to move their TLE percentage a couple points. We're able to actually target off of shortfall lists what those zip codes are. If there's some target zip codes to be able to raise them up, because the quickest way to move TLE is to trade somebody out, keep them in that vehicle. Also leave the RO open to finish out the warranty work while the customer still owns it before it goes to internal. Make sure that the customer pay tech gets that ticket. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make, is they give that 4-line RO to an internal tech, and it doesn't end well like that. But by doing that, you're getting double your bang for the buck, and it's not easy. It's like moving an aircraft carrier to get your retention numbers up or your loyalty index. So that's, in my mind, a little hack to drive it upwards.
You've introduced and are now introducing even more technology tools through Accu-Trade, things we didn't even think about years ago, but you're doing it. It's actually in place now, and you're giving the dealers the benefit of this, if you will, real-time data that's up to date. And you can see where the market is correcting and where we're at. And the tools like you just described are even taking it a step further with what's in my service drive.
I'll tell you something else that you and I haven't talked about that I think will blow your mind, and everybody who's watching the show. So in Q4, we're going to be releasing reporting. Now it's going to initially be with CDK and Techion, and then we'll move to the other DMSs. But we've done this with a few dealers, and the results are mind-boggling, even much different than I would have thought. And I knew it was going to be off, but what's the appraisal reconditioning estimate, parts, labor for tires? Because it's typically in an appraisal tool the same dollar amount for a 16-inch wheel as it is for a 20-inch wheel. If you've got a Highlander Platinum with a 19-inch wheel, those tires are a lot more, and the wheel, than a 2017 with a 17-inch wheel with a much bigger tire. Totally different animal, right? You go from $200 to $400 per tire plus everything else. Keys, we're specific on keys. If a key's $500 or $200, and all of these little things will just paper cut you to death. So what we see is, on the initial sample size, and I can't wait to turn this on at scale, is what was the recon estimate going in, and then what was the recon actual coming out after the GL balance, take out the packs and all, gas detail, all that stuff. What was the real number, and how good are we at managing cosmetic recon, mechanical recon, parts pricing, estimates? I mean, if I was in fixed ops on this show, hearing this, you'll have the ability to hold the used car manager accountable to their accuracy instead of them telling you to discount your labor rate, cut your parts pricing, because I'm not a fan of touching the margin on either one of those things. Because if anything, I'm going to go aftermarket parts if it's a non-CPO car and try to get a lower parts, but increase the margin. But I think that everybody argues because they missed this, or there's a catalytic converter that was cut off yesterday. Well, all that stuff can be detected now with the technology that's being introduced. It's just such an exciting time to be alive, not just in the car business.
Totally exciting. What a time. Now, Brian, how does this affect our friend at Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, Ed Roberts, continues to advance on the mobile service side. Now we are having other OEMs talking about it, doing it, who we never thought were even going to get into that game. And I think you and I talked a little bit offline about how that affects loyalty and retention and how important that is. And Ed has realized that from the onset, what an important tool. How do these tools affect what's going to be happening on the mobile side? Because I think it's going to continue to increase at great pace.
And I get to travel all over the country now and see all these different operations. And before I went to Ed's store, I was at Brian Benstock's store, and I couldn't figure out, I'm like, how are you making this make sense and pencil out? Because this sounds really expensive. And you know how he does it with you and him have those conversations where it's evening shift and all that stuff. But I think it's a compound effect. You don't realize the total RO dollar amount effect, because it's not logical that people would just spend that much more, but they do. Just like we spend more with DoorDash or Instacart or Uber Eats, we pay more and we know we're paying too much, but it's convenient. And that's the fascinating thing that I see, because we always looked at it as like such an expensive thing, but there's this convenience factor now. And it's almost like a time tax where people don't want to, they'll pay a tax to get their time back and not have to sit around. And they just want to know how much it is. And in most cases, it's not offered at all. When I went down to Ed's store, and he's an enigma, I was like you. I've got to be guarded. I don't get caught up in the the starstruck aspects of all these things. So I wanted to talk to the actual technicians that were driving these vans and ask them what they thought. And that was just a testament to his culture, because those conversations, I said, what would you think if you could appraise a vehicle while you were also doing an oil change in somebody's driveway, and you could also leave behind an offer for their vehicle when you were done with the RO? And I it's my own biases. I'm sitting there thinking that, a technician's going to say, well, why would I want to cut into my own work? And in actuality, if we take it on trade, they're going to get it anyway. But his store was just a little unique, a little different in all of that, because they're all about innovation, and they're all about just challenging the status quo, and sincerely, authentically, and genuinely passionate about the customer experience and driving it forward. It was amazing to see. But the volume that he's going to do with those vans, and what he's able to do and still manage it and give himself, that's how he's writing 12,000 ROs a month in a town with a population about that. I mean, it's unbelievable what they do, and they're just so efficient. That's like a CVT transmission. It's just smooth.
And that's a dealership that has 2-person teams on the mobile operation and throughout the shop as well. So the thinking behind the 2-person team on mobile, from what I understand, having seen it, is that we've got one technician working on the vehicle and one addressing the customer. And they obviously have 2 different skill sets, but they complement each other. And that would be a dealership that could, if there was a dealership looking to get into that effectively and rather quickly, that would be the one. So,
if anybody's even considering that, I would absolutely make a trip, stop by his Ford's garage. It's unbelievable what he's got. It's like a little Disneyland that he's got going on up there. But yeah, and if you think about it, a lot of the technicians that just like to plow through work, they don't want to have a conversation with the client. They'd rather be getting stuff done. And that balance is brilliant, what they've set up.
Last question for today. Here we are in mid-September, going into the fall. We've got about 3.5 months left in the year. For the folks watching today at retail, managers, dealers, what do we need to keep our eye on, Brian, going into the balance of 2023 and even into early 2024, if you were to give them some advice?
So I think that, it depends on the OEM that they're with. There's some OEMs that are already beginning these integrations into their service write-up process, where it doesn't just pull the national service history, it's pulling everything. And there's less clicks. It's removing the friction throughout the whole experience. The best dealerships that I see, as we spend a lot of time on the service drive, are doing walkarounds. And it could be the valet. It doesn't necessarily have to be the ASM, but they're doing walkarounds with an iPad, and not just visually for the cosmetic, hey, you chipped my car, that door ding wasn't there, and all the time sucks that come out of that. But it's more pulling in the customer into the experience so they can see what they're doing and getting them involved. And it's very interesting to me when I see a service advisor or a valet on the drive that has an iPad, how much more engaged the client is. It's not like they're just in their own world, not paying attention. They're really interested to see, what are you doing? What's this? Oh, you're measuring the tires. How are they? When they already know, or it's already got the tread spec calculation there. But I think that if I was going to focus on one thing on service drive, I would go through and do what they do at Disney. From the greeting, you check into the lobby and you check into the hotel, and then they, check to make sure the room's available and housekeeping's done. What are each one of those experience touch points, and what is it in your drive? And where is it today, and where in a perfect state would you want it to be, and where are those gaps, and start attacking those, because there's so much redundancy. And I think that from this AI is coming, and it's inevitable, and it's here. Yeah, it's been here, and it's not going away. And if we don't make those experiences much more meaningful and delightful, then we're just going to hand everything over to the machines, because then if you don't provide a maximum delight, you're just like a machine. So the people make the difference, and I think that would be my takeaway.
Great advice, Brian Kramer. Brian Kramer is the Executive Vice President at Cars.com and the General Manager of Accu-Trade, making a huge impact in our industry right now. He's easy to find on social media. I mentioned the Brian Kramer, fascinating information that comes out. Brian, thank you so much for your time today. And on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, we're grateful for all that you do.
No, thanks for having me on. I love this.
Brian Kramer, everybody, from Cars.com and Accu-Trade, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Everybody wants to be part of a bigger story. And to see something like this in such a big industry is a big accomplishment.
When I heard about Rapid Recon, I was like, man, that's ahead of its time.
Rapid Recon is the one software that unifies all the departments. You're going to go from chaos to organization.
The whole idea is to take 15 days average to get these cars ready to sell and take it down to 3 to 5.
It's live. You can log into Rapid Recon and see exactly where you are.
We're processing 2,500 cars a month. You need technology to make it more profitable.
And we know the pains that dealers are going through because we've lived it.
We get so much praise for our customer service, and it's because we genuinely care.
If you want to be as efficient as you possibly can, you absolutely should have Rapid Recon as your system.
We're changing this industry in a way that it's needed to change for a long time.
As consumer buying habits evolve, it's only natural for your dealership to grow too. The key is providing a seamless, engaging experience for your customers while also ensuring long-term dealership success. Introducing Retail Anywhere, a dealership-wide process that enables you to meet your customers' needs without sacrificing what's really important to you: profitability, accuracy, and efficiency. Here's what this looks like in the service department. A customer visits your website to schedule a service appointment. She's able to view current vehicle information, past vehicle repairs, needed maintenance, and previously declined work. With the click of a button, she selects repairs needed and schedules a service appointment. She arrives for her appointment, bypasses the line at the counter, and easily checks in by scanning her mobile QR code at a self-service kiosk. She also selects 2 add-ons offered to her and drops off her keys. As the technician performs the multi-point inspection, he tracks recommended work electronically. He links images and videos of repairs to the digital RO and lets the advisor know the inspection is complete. Pricing and parts availability are automatically tied to the digital RO, so the advisor simply sends a link to the customer to review and approve the work. When the customer receives the link, she is able to see all recommended repairs, including pictures and videos of her vehicle. She accepts one of the jobs, but declines the other. At the dealership, the advisor, technician, and parts department receive the customer's updates, and the approved work is started right away. Declined work is flagged for future opportunities. Once the work is completed, the customer receives another text alert with a link to view her invoice. She pays securely online and heads to the dealership to pick up her vehicle. It's after the service department is closed, so she checks out using a kiosk and receives her keys. Retail Anywhere is built on a single system, single process approach. It allows customers to schedule, review, and approve work on their terms, whether in-store, online, or both, while still allowing your dealership to retain profitability, accuracy, and efficiency. Retail Anywhere, without sacrificing anything.
Let's take a look back at one of our segments filmed live at our pop-up event. Join the Kaiser Automotive group and learn the Kaiser story.
Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event. I am Ted Ings, We are here today in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. We are at the Kaiser Automotive Group. We are with the leaders of the Kaiser Group, the Kaiser family. Gentlemen, welcome. And if you would, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do here.
Thanks, Ted. Ryan Baxter. I'm the Vice President of Variable Operations here at the Kaiser Automotive Group.
Ted, I'm Shawn Baxter, President.
And I'm Brendan Baxter, Vice President of Marketing.
Wow. Well, very impressive. Thank you for having us in today. Thank you for having the audience here. Wow. The last 24 hours spent here with Shawn Kingrey, with your group on the ground. You got a lot going on. So give us a little background. Shawn, if you would. Your family's been in the business for quite a few years. We see there's a 1951 vehicle behind us. Tell us the story about your family and how you got into the business.
Great. Yeah. So our father really started us in this business. He was a CPA by trade and doing dealership accounting, realized, I think I can do that. And so he found a dealership here in Madison, Wisconsin, where we all grew up, and said, I'm going to go out on my own and buy a dealership. So in 1985, that's exactly what he did. Kaiser Ford at the time was a single standalone Ford dealer, largest in the state of Wisconsin. And from there, he has helped us grow the company. We're now a collection of 8 dealerships, all domestic, American-made, all in Wisconsin. And for the first time in its almost 100-year history, it's being led by 3 brothers, sibling partnership that we're really, really proud of.
Wow. Gentlemen, what was it like growing up with the car business? Because obviously that's what you did.
Well, it's part of who we are. You know, you can't go anywhere. You can't introduce yourself to anybody without, kind of referring to being a car dealer, being in the business. So it's fun. It's one of the most engaging, exciting businesses I think I've ever been around, and just really feel blessed to have been born into it, so to speak.
And Brendan, a lot of change going on in the business as well.
Oh, it's drastic, and it's fun to be a part of it. Seeing it from back, 37 years ago, coming into this, picking up cigarette butts around one lot, and Christmas morning bringing all the trash to the store and brushing off snow off cars. So from going to that and to where we are now with the digital age is just mind-blowing.
So your dad got you involved at an early age at the dealership, and you spent a lot of time in the business as well. Is that right?
Yeah, Brendan alluded to it, but I think we all had our first job when we were about 6. That job on Saturday mornings was picking up all the time. Back then, everybody smoked. And the job was picking up all the butts around the rocks that around all the entrances. We might have been the only ones to ever hold that job, but we did it well, and that set us on a course to where we are today.
And what's the history with the vehicle behind us here, 1951 Ford?
Right. So 51 was the year our father was born, and I think when he decided to go do some other things as his life progressed, one of those things was getting into the cattle business. And so in southwest Wisconsin, he started a Red Angus cattle ranch. And he bought this truck to be his town truck, and this is what he would go to town and get feed and other things for the ranch, which actually still exists down in southwest Wisconsin. And so that's where he goes to have fun, and that's certainly where we like to go.
This is a funny story about the history of this truck, and the provenance of this truck is that he bought it at Barrett-Jackson. And if you know Barrett-Jackson, I'm sure you do, people take, these cars are mint. And so he went back to the tent after he bought it, and he's talking to the consignor. And he goes, what are you going to do with it? He goes, I'm going to take it to my cattle ranch and haul hay. I almost lost it.
So for our audience who's not here in Wisconsin, give us the lay of the land. How many dealerships, what franchises? And I know you're growing as well. There's been a couple that you've added along the way.
Sure. So we, as I mentioned, we're a collection of 8 automotive dealerships all throughout Wisconsin, headquartered here in Madison. We have dealerships in Sauk City, Watertown, and Green Bay, and most recently added Janesville, just south of Madison, a large Chevrolet Buick GMC dealership. So at those 8 stores, we represent all the major domestic brands, and we're really proud of that. That's a decision we made as brothers about 10 years ago to divest from all of our import brands, no offense, and really focus on what we think we did best, and that was sell and service American-made automobiles. And so today, as we look forward as a partnership, that's where our growth is going to be, certainly, and we'll talk about it in a minute here specifically. But as we look to grow, it's in that domestic automotive retail environment in the state of Wisconsin.
Wow. And gentlemen, Yeah, Shawn, you've also are known for your community involvement here at the Kaiser Automotive Group. Speak to us a little bit about that, because you do a whole lot for the community.
Sure, and this sounds cliche probably, Ted, but our father would always tell us that we must support the communities that support our stores and our dealerships, and certainly help us support the people that support us with our staff. And so that has led us to a life of philanthropy. We expect to be great corporate citizens in any community that we go into. And as you know, and a lot of our colleagues around the country know, car dealerships are a big part of that community. A lot of activity, a lot of sales, a lot of depending on those dealerships for keeping their cars running right. So we take that seriously. And whether it's the hospitals that are in the community all the way down to the Little League teams, we want the Kaiser brand to be out there, to be trusted, and to be respected throughout all the communities that we do serve.
One of the things I noticed, gentlemen, is here you've got a career path for your employees. And I'd like each of you to speak to that, if that's okay. Ryan, first with you. What is the career path? Why, everywhere I go here between the dealerships, you've got employees who've been here for many years, so this obviously has to be a pretty good place to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we do anything well here at Kaiser, I think one thing we do really, really well is identifying what everybody's dream is. I mean, if you can show someone that their dream could be achieved by working at one of your dealerships, and you can award them in various compensation modes. Obviously, financial is what everybody comes down to, but there's a lot of different compensation that people look for, right? Emotional compensation, being proud of where they work. So we really focus on all the different types of compensation, if you will, but also figuring out what that dream is. Is it a, vacation home up in northern Wisconsin? Is it to be, a service advisor coming from, a loop tech? Whatever it is, if you can show that that dream could be achieved at your dealership, I think you give people no reason to look at anywhere else.
I love it. Shawn?
I just piling on to what Ryan said, I think the ability to give people what they want, show them how we can provide them what they want, is ultimately how we're going to get what we want. And so that's really a focus. And if you look at some of our dealerships, we've got folks in the 40 and 50-year tenure with our dealerships, folks that have been working at Kaiser longer than we've all been alive, which is pretty special when we get to shake their hands when they retire and see the commitment that they made. We've got a lot of multi-generational families, that father, son, mother, daughter that work in our stores. So that says a lot. I think, to Ryan's point, the intangible piece about a career path, we certainly invest in our people, and we've got training and we've got mentorship programs specifically on the fixed ops side that we can get into later. All of that's great, but I think much like the retail environment, you've got to provide something that's intangible that keeps people wanting to come up and get up and come to work every day, deliver that world-class experience for our guests. It's got to be more than financial. It's got to be more than money, and a lot of that comes down to the culture and the people that we surround them with at the store.
And I could feel that culture. Brendan?
Well, Ted, one thing that I'm proud of for our whole store or our whole group is the development of our technician mentorship program. And so we wanted to reach out to local high schools and give them a road to the future of, what a dealership life looks like. And you might say, well, I'm going to go to college and do what? Whereas you can go into step one of our program and progress through that. You can see, 20, 30, 40 years later where that really stacks up. And I think showing it as simple as it is on paper or on a website of that step-by-step program and what that can mean. Yes, there's financial steps in there like Shawn and Ryan have alluded to, but it's also a sense of achievement. You can go to college and do 4 years and you come out and you're doing something completely different. Whereas this is showing, hey, I started here and I can see exactly where I came from. That's pretty special.
It certainly is. To your point, you recently, it seems to me, began a expanded initiative on fixed operations. You brought in one of the best in the country, Shawn Kingrey, to lead fixed operations here at Kaiser Automotive Group. Why, Shawn, did you do that? What's the reason behind it? What's the thinking? And what do you see as you look out into the future for fixed operations?
Sure. Ted, I think the data we looked at said in the United States, we started this year with over 285 million cars on the road. The average age of those cars, 12 and a half years. That's the most. Both of those are the highest in history. So what does that say? As we look to plan our future, that says That's more mechanical breakdowns. That's more accidents. That's more deer hits. That's more body work. That's more oil changes, more tires, more brakes, more service, more parts, more fixed operations. So that's the future we see. And the investments we're making in the future start with people, as you mentioned, with Shawn Kingrey. But I think the brick and mortar decisions we're making in the future is really going to expand the capacity we have to serve that community, that need that we see building in the future. So you'll see that happen around our stores. We're in the midst of 2 different building projects today. And I can tell you just from our limited experience, the way we're designing a dealership for tomorrow is much different than the dealership you're sitting in today.
I love it. Well, we are looking forward to meeting with the people of Kaiser. We're going to have panels today with your technicians, parts, the ladies of the organization, and a whole lot more. Before we do, we're moving forward with an initiative at the Roundtable to certify the best dealers in the nation. So what we'd like to do today is present you, gentlemen, with our Certified Dealer Award from the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And Shawn Kingrey is coming in with that now and present that to you. So gentlemen, congratulations on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable for becoming a certified dealer group here at the Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
And so looking forward to it. Looking forward to all the great things we have today at the pop-up and learning more about the Kaiser Automotive Group. Stay with us, everybody. We're in Wisconsin. We're at the Kaiser Automotive Group with the leaders, and that we're going to hear today from the people. We'll be right back.
The Fixed Ops Roundtable is excited to announce the launch of our new certified program. It is designed to recognize dealerships and partners that demonstrate exceptional performance. Learn more by visiting fixedopsroundtablecertified.com.
These are the best moments, when stress fades away and life can be enjoyed to its fullest. And helping people connect to these moments, that's what you do. Every day. Helping them find the car that's just right for them, with an easy flow from website to showroom to financing. Ensuring that their car runs safely. By sending reminders to show you're thinking of them and scheduling service that fits their busy lives. You're even helping keep their personal data protected. So times like these are worry-free. And we're here, behind you, every step of the way, through relationships built on years of listening and understanding. We bring the needed strength, knowledge, and experience to give you, our customers and partners, real peace of mind. Through our technology, we unify dealers, manufacturers, and software developers, sharing expertise and boosting collaboration for everyone's benefit. And by envisioning a future of innovative solutions, open platforms, and shared outcomes, we can shape our industry for years to come with the experiences consumers want. We don't take this unique opportunity for granted. The chance to do something truly special, to work at the heart of this industry, connecting it at every level, and taking it to new heights. We make the connections that move you. So together, we can create more moments like these.
Learn the 3 C's to cultivate customers for life with CallRevu up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. CallRevu is the leader in our industry, and it is a great honor to welcome the team from CallRevu to today's event. Cory, Wright, and Scott Bleasdell. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you very much for having us.
So, Cory, you had an amazing presentation at the last event. You gave us a lot of facts. You backed it up with a lot of information. Excited about that. Excited about following it up today. Scott, excited to meet you as well. And I got to tell you that the number one topic at the Fixed Ops Roundtable for the past 18 months is the phones. And I'm not talking about some high-tech technology. It's like, we need to answer the phones in our dealership. And most of those calls come in on the Fixed Ops on the service side. So, we're at the right side of the house for that. So congratulations to you on all the success that CallRevu is having. And I'm excited to learn more today about the 3 C's. And Scott, with that, I'm going to let you get things rolling today.
Yeah, thanks, Ted, again for having us today. You're 100% right that it is, the phones are critical in service. The old adage, sales gets them and service keeps them. Yeah. That's always been true, and it's still true today. In fact, I would argue that it's more of an opportunity to be true today, perhaps, than for quite some time. But service is struggling, and you just mentioned it. Just the ability to answer the phone has been hard. There's such a high demand for service, and there's so many calls flowing into service that it's really hard for customers to get connected. And that's the first of the 3 C's we're going to talk about today. It's all about connecting to those customers who are trying to reach into the service center because they have needs that they're trying to get solved. The second is captivating those customers by being very well prepared to answer their questions and to get them booked to come into the service center. The last one is really to ensure that your marketing dollars that you're spending to drive customers to contact you and connect with you in the service center is doing its job well, and make it, once you get them, you've solved your connectivity problems and your captivating problems, that those conversions are actually then hitting your bottom line and helping you make more money, right? The investment in the marketing actually has the return that you're expecting. So those 3 are the 3 C's: connecting, captivating, and converting.
Wow. And I think, Scott, dealers need help. Dealerships need help with all 3 of those right now, because I would have to guess, Cory, and I don't know what you're seeing so far this year, and I want you to share that with us. I would imagine there are certain times of day when customers want to call, and we may not be staffed properly because of a lot of things going on, lunchtime and so on and so forth. Cory, what are you seeing so far this year?
Yeah, well, Ted, we've collected and analyzed over 10 million calls just this year, and we dug in, we found an eye-opening 21% of calls don't connect to anybody at the dealership. And the problem with that is there's so many of those Fixed Ops customers trying to reach your service departments, not getting through, and presents such a huge area of opportunity to improve. And you can make that part of your core competency if you can connect more calls.
I believe, by the way, I think the number's low.
Right? Yeah, you make a phone call to a dealership at any given time, and it is hard to get through. And that's where we have to first start digging in. That's our first order of business, is to identify first what's your connectivity percentage. How well are you connecting calls? And if you see that problem, if you're at that 20%, or maybe even higher in some cases, if you have a really high volume store, that can happen. So first, you may think we need to train our people, but the reality of it is a lot of it can be fixed with hardware and routing.
Okay.
Setting up your IVR properly, making sure that press 1 should be for your high volume service lines. Yeah. That should be for service and not sales. Reducing your double disclaimers, anytime you hear this call is being recorded more than one time, it could be on the local phone system, it can be on your tracking lines. Any number of things can cause that, but you want to reduce that down to once. You also want to optimize your phone system, right? We spend all this money on fancy phone systems that we should utilize and make sure there's enough trunks open, make sure that the calls are rolling over. If one call comes in, another, all in a short period of time, is there somebody who can answer that call live? And if you really care about this, which if you're on this webinar, you do, make some test calls, be a customer, call the store. It's amazing what you find out when not only you're monitoring your calls, but once every month or so, you're digging in, you're calling the store and you're saying, that's what I expect. That's what I want our customers to experience. Another big piece is digging into your staffing optimization. We all know that at a dealership, there's a change in staff, lunch breaks that can occur that are huge areas of opportunity when it comes to having enough people to answer your phones. And that's where training your people comes in. Big fan. We see huge return on training for the adoption of a warm transfer. And that's not just the reception team or the appointment coordinators. That's the whole dealership should know how to do a warm transfer. And not only that, but, and this is, I think, one of the biggest problems when it comes to training the team to do a warm transfer is your phone systems should be paramount when it comes to onboarding and training your team. Because at the dealership that I worked at, we didn't know how to transfer phone calls until we took that class. And you can go on YouTube. You can look up the PDFs that are online. If you have an ADP phone system or any of the phone systems out there, they have a lot of online resources you can leverage to know how to transfer the call instead of saying, hey, you're going to have to call back to the operator. I don't know how to send your call to the right place. Cross-training your cashiers and your receptionists to take service calls. And then if training doesn't work, do you have one of the popular virtual BDCs or someone to handle overflow, maybe at an offsite, so that your customers are always reaching help, a live person? When I mentioned that number earlier, that 21% of customers not making it through to a live person, that can be scary, but you can also zero in on that as that's my target. If I know other dealerships in America are not connecting calls at that rate, that becomes my target. I want those customers to call me next. And that's why you want to be connecting more calls. So you're available there for them and you're measuring that. Those little changes you make, are they working?
I thought I was old school in wanting to call the dealership and tell them what's wrong with my car and do it over the phone. But you're telling me that there are still a lot of customers who still have that need, to call the dealership, to call the service center when they can just schedule it, the appointment, if you would, online.
Yeah, Ted, you're right. People can book appointments online, but we're seeing phone call rates continuing to increase. The volumes are continuing to increase. And I think there's a couple of reasons why. Look, if I'm going to get my brakes worked on at a dealership, and I'm probably going to take it to the dealership, right, for something like brakes or anything related to safety, the reason I'm doing that is because after I pick up my car from getting a brake job, I'm going to go pick up my kids at school. I'm going to put them in the car and I'm going to take them home. If I'm going to put the most valuable assets in my life into my car, then why wouldn't I take my car to the place that I trust is going to be able to repair that car and fix it properly, right? So it starts with the phone call. I'm going to call and I want to talk to somebody. That's why connecting the call is so important. Getting somebody to actually answer the call and talk to that customer is critical, because that customer is looking for somebody they can trust. This is where that part of captivating the customer comes in. If you want the customer to know that they can trust bringing their vehicle to your dealership, then you need to be prepared when you answer that phone call. So number one, answer it, right? Got to get them on the line. But number two, be prepared, well prepared to answer their calls with confidence. So you got to train all of your service staff to make sure that they understand what people are likely to call about and how to respond to those requests, answer those questions, build that confidence. You have to know what they're calling about and be, in order to train and prepare your staff. So you need to be collecting that information. Why are people calling? Are they just calling for oil changes? Are they calling for questions about airbags or other safety items or other specific repairs? And are your people trained properly to be able to answer those questions and to respond to those customers? You got to have that information to identify where you're weak, to do the training, to build that confidence, so that when somebody does get through, and hopefully they do, because you've done everything that Cory already talked about to get those calls connected to a human, then that person can exude that trust to the customer that's calling. That's what's going to get you to captivate those customers and bring them in and increase the chance that they stay for life.
You know, fixed ops drives so much revenue for dealerships and even more as we look into the future, right? With everything that's happening in our industry right now. But really, it all starts with the phones. Okay. That phones are still a huge and growing revenue driver for dealerships. So I got to ask you, gentlemen, how can fixed operations, service, and parts put it all under one roof? How can they generate more revenue? Because that's always a big focus for viewers here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Yeah, Ted. Well, once the organization has improved and optimized connecting, captivating customers on every call, and most importantly, making the customer smile and delighted on that phone call, that's when it's time to focus on driving more conversions in fixed ops in a way that produces the most ROI. And it's funny, when we were planning for this session, Scott and I went back and forth around which of the C's should be first. And we thought convert might be the first because traditionally dealers think about where am I going to spend my advertising to drive people? How am I going to get more of the market? How am I going to drive people more people into the store? And then we realized, you know what, though, if you can't connect and you can't captivate, then what's the point? We're wasting money. We shouldn't even do it at all until we've connected more calls and captivated. And so if you've done that and you're into the hype of GA4 and digital advertising, then it's time to say, okay, how do I do this in an effective format? And that's where our market vision solution and, looking at attribution of, if I spend money digitally, if I run campaigns, what's it producing? And so traditionally, we look at visits to the website, web form submissions, chats, texts, and most importantly, and for anybody who isn't monitoring that now, your calls are key and paramount to determining if that spend is driving something that's of value, a customer that's actually picking up the phone to see if they are going to connect, to see if they can trust you when they call. And so CallRevu not only provides vision into the calls, and that's the key piece that I want everybody to be able to take home to this is not only do you want to be able to analyze, is this service campaign that I'm running right now, is it driving calls, but is it driving service calls? And that's a huge blind spot. We had this eureka moment when we were retooling our software to work with GA4. We saw the power in GA4, but then we realized that mega blind spot to have is that calls not all calls are created equally when it comes to ROI. A sales call should be paramount to a sales campaign, but you also want to see service calls. And you want to know, if I did a service campaign, is it producing service appointments? So that's what I would challenge everybody to dig into when they're doing a digital advertising campaign. Are they using a tool that can break down to a campaign level, which I think is important? You don't want to look at digital advertising as one big blanket. You want to look at it down to the campaign, because if you want ROI, it has to be tailored to what's producing the most bang for the buck as far as phone calls go. So dealers win by using that intelligent call monitoring that's telling them everything that's happening on that call, integrating with GA4, and asking the questions like, how did they get to your site? Did they make a phone call? What department did they intend to reach? And did they set an appointment? It's really purpose-driven digital advertising to attract that customer, to give them that red carpet treatment that says, hey, you know what? We've got the formula for success here. Now we just need to drive more, and we want to do it efficiently. And that's where, like, the 3 C's are maximizing your ability to attract customers. Have to focus on connecting more calls, captivating them through building trust and being prepared. Once you've mastered that, convert more by driving, remember that 21%, we want to drive those customers to our websites, hope that they call us, and wow them from that first call.
Cory and Scott, CallRevu does a great job in tracking and measuring all of these. and really helping the dealer and provide that red carpet moment, because the phone calls are still such an important part of our dealership. It's amazing, and it's not going away. I'm hearing more and more about it at this event, so it's as timely as ever. If a dealer is not yet using CallRevu or wants to find out more about what you can do for their particular organization, what's the best way, Scott and Cory, for them to reach out to you folks?
Yeah, I would say first step, if you don't know much about CallRevu and the solutions that we have, as Cory mentioned, we have a solution called Market Vision. That's all about converting, tracking and converting, making sure that the conversions from your digital marketing campaigns are actually driving phone calls into the right spot, into your service department. We also have Service Vision. It is a fixed ops specific solution that does everything we were talking about around connecting and captivating. You can learn all about that on our website. If you want to reach out to one of our sales team and get a quote, find out how much this costs and how it works, how it's going to be best suited for your dealership, just reach out to us by email is the easiest probably. sales@callrevu.com. That's CALLREVU. A little weird, but callrevu.com, and we'll connect right with you and give you all the information that you need. So that's really the easiest way.
Yeah. You really are the trusted name in the industry. So I want to thank both Scott Bleasdell and Cory Wright for being here today from CallRevu. Great information, gentlemen, and very, very nice, concise package you put that in for us. So we appreciate that on behalf of the fixed ops community. And you are really in the retail service business. You really know this space with fixed ops, especially with that latest program that you came out just a few months ago, earlier this year. So appreciate all you do. So Scott Bleasdell and Cory Wright, everybody, here today from CallRevu at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everybody.
Throw on your best pair of shades for our next speaker, Pete Carusone of VisionAST.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Pete Carusone is with us. He is the president and CEO of VisionAST. Pete, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Good to be here.
Great to have you. Topic that we're going to be talking about today is one I'd like to share with the group. It's performance-based training. And you've been doing a lot of things in the industry. Your portal, people are using it, talking about it. Tell us a little bit about this performance-based training and how that differs from, let's say, the conventional type of training that most of us have been used to.
Yeah, well, I think of conventional training, Ted. I think of, for example, you take the military, you go into boot camp, you all go through the same training, regardless of your skills. If you qualify, you go through and you're all scored the same way based on whatever performance the Army determines is required. Take another, take it into sports, the NFL, football. There's a little bit of performance-based training. If you're a quarterback, you're doing different things than a linebacker is doing in that training. But what I really mean by performance-based training is if you look at your family and you've got several children, they all have strengths and challenges, and you treat them all equally, but you focus on where you can help them the most. Some may be street smart, don't need to, once they're out of school, you ground through school with them, but once they're on the street, they know how to live their lives. You got another child who is a straight A student, but you can't figure out how to get their car out of the driveway in the morning, and you need to help them learn the way, the rules of life and life lessons. So, but you treat them all the same, you value them all the same, but they all need specific performance-based training.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense then. Great analogy. I think I can relate. So on the retail level, back at the dealership, what kind of information do managers and directors need to, be successful, let's say, in implementing a performance-based training model, if you will?
Well, why that's near and dear to me, as you know, it's because of data and having the data that tells the story of the performance metrics of each of your individuals. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. And when you know that individual's strengths and weaknesses, you can tailor your training to where you can help them to succeed. And not everyone has those same needs. And when you can see the data, and it's got to be accurate data, I always stress that the accurate data builds trust. And a lot of the accuracy can, of course, come from a platform that is DMS certified to be accurate, but not necessarily. Another thing that creates that trust and that accuracy is putting it in front of your performers on a daily or at least a weekly basis, no less than a weekly basis, so they can see their impact on those performance metrics and know that they're accurate. Then they trust what's going on, and then it's a much more productive training environment.
I would agree with you. I think the best dealers in the nation are the ones that share that information and do it on a very regular basis. And your portal at VisionAST, it is real-time data, and it's taken from the DMS.
Yep, it sure is. And I think you build that trust with that frequency. Beyond that, it also drives competition, just that frequency of everyone seeing what everyone's doing. There's a competitive spirit in dealerships, and that competition will drive performance on its own.
And it holds people accountable too, doesn't it? There's an accountability factor
Absolutely. Here. No question about it.
Okay. All right. So, with that in mind, is there a typical process that you see on the dealer level that directors using to gather this type of information?
Yeah, if they're not using a platform like ours, what I see quite a bit is dealers or directors, managers going through their DMS. If they've got multiple rooftops, they're going through multiple DMSs. I spoke with a gentleman the other day that spends 3 hours every morning. He's a parts and service director, 3 hours a morning, 5 days a week, pulling reports because he values the data, understands the importance of it and training and all that kind of thing. But I said to him, what could you do with those 3 hours every day? And he just laughed and had a list a mile long. I said, well, you could be probably doing more training as well. And we agreed. And, the thing is, you have to have the accurate data, but it takes a lot of time to get it. But I've seen some terrific spreadsheets. I saw one the other day that looked like the Amalfi Coast. There were so many different colors on it. And meeting your goal, coming close to your goal, just shy of your goal, way under your goal. And it's a lot of work to do that, but that's the trick. And I see some really strong managers that put a lot of effort into that.
You're right. In our industry, I see a lot of fixed ops directors who in the morning spend several hours every morning, sometimes more than 5 days a week, Pete.
True.
And that's what they do. That's the ritual. They're going through this data. They trust the data. They know what to look for. Thank goodness they know what to look for and they're going to utilize it, but it is a big chunk of their day.
No question. And there's some good things to that. They spend so much time gathering that information that they know it like the back of their hand. So, I've heard that argument before, but I still think the time that could be used elsewhere is probably more important.
So are these some of the data points that you're gathering?
That's correct. Monthly pacing, we put a nice pacing widget together where a director can see exactly where they're at each day of, each working day, what that day's metrics are. They can see where they're falling short and why they're underpacing or where they're strong and overpacing, and really keep an eye on where they're going toward the end of the month. And then a lot of the traditional metrics and some new, more hours-based metrics as well that we've talked with you about in the past that are kind of the new norm of how people are measured in hours rather than just dollars.
There's a lot of measurements, right? There's a lot of different metrics that we've kept track of. And you're right. It seems that the hours have gained more and more importance because everything sells hours. Parts sells hours. The dealership service department sells those hours. And it's a perishable commodity. We can't get them back after the day is over. And it's only for today.
Yeah, and the hours translate to dollars, so why not pay more attention to the hours?
Yeah. So, Pete, what are some real world examples you've experienced when working, with dealership service departments as you do?
Yeah, so what we do is we've seen a lot of people really work on building teams. For an example, you take a tech that always does a MPI, a multi-point inspection, right? He's great at them, always does them. You start looking, cross-referencing parts or service directors with that technician, you'll find guys that are performing very well and guys that aren't performing well, and you can spot there's a personality conflict. Again, I use the word trust a lot in this conversation, but is it a lack of trust? He doesn't trust the work that he's recommending, so he's not recommending it to the customer. Do that across an entire shop floor and all your technicians and all your service advisors. You're going to find a lot of opportunity there of where people could be selling more work, and a lot of it could be personality based. That's an example I see a lot. A lot of times you just look at, for another example, effective labor rate, right? You see someone struggling, if their CSI is great, customers love them, their effective labor rate's horrible. Why is that? And you find an example, maybe they're just giving, couponing all the time, discounting much more than they need to, and that's the training opportunity. Why do they feel they need to discount all the time when their coworkers aren't doing so? So pinpointing some of that stuff is one of the things you can quickly do on our platform with the filters that we have, where you can cross-reference all your performers and build stronger teams. Maybe sometimes it's matching people up that should be working together because they're the highest producers when they're working as a team.
You're right. It's important to cross-reference both the advisors and the technicians. And I know our good friend Ed Roberts talks about the power of teams, having the right people working together with strengths and weaknesses. That goes back to your performance-based training model, Pete.
Yes, no question. I think, a lot of times, again, if you're not doing performance-based, you're doing this rah, come on, let's go. And, it's important to rah and celebrate wins and victories. But you need to look at the personal side of things and why certain people work together well and why they don't. And you can really spot it if you've got the right data to make those decisions and eliminate any emotional component and just say, here's the facts. Let's go to work together to improve these.
How difficult is it for a dealership fixed ops director or a service manager to set this up, Pete, in their store?
From the time they approve it in their DMS, we're usually up and running in a week to 10 days with live data. And we do a ton of training and, ongoing training as well, and check-ins, and make sure we're there to support the system. And we share examples like I'm sharing with you. I found a store over here that went through this exercise and discovered XYZ. I recommend you try the same thing. I'd be happy to walk through that with you. And as far as daily use of the platform, I think a director typically gets everything they need to know in 10 minutes per store, tops.
And you're doing this for both parts and you're doing it for service for hours?
Parts and service, yep.
Wow. Okay.
Correct. And they're all subscription-based too, so you can email reports automatically if you don't want to log in the system, or some of your performers that you want to share the information with, like I was talking about, on a daily or weekly basis. You can set up subscriptions so they're getting email reports to them, so you don't have to rely on them logging in if you're not confident they're going to do that.
So you can actually have it as an outbound type of thing to your people.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Going back to that performance-based training model, is there a memorable experience for performance-based training that you can relate to us today?
It actually relates back to the one I was talking about, discounting.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I was in a store that I was in for a long time as an operations director, and had the greatest customer experience reviews and CSI, and customers just loved the guy. And he worked hard. He was a hard worker, always there, but his effective labor rate was abysmal. And one day I just went and watched him from the corner and watched what he was doing. And I'd remember, because I did a lot of the marketing at the time too, and we had just put a service coupon out, like an oil change, something like that, back when newspapers were still a big thing. And I saw a stack of newspapers on his counter, and he was tearing out coupons and handing them to everyone, even if that's not what brought him in.
Okay.
So I said, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. So after the day was over, I said, Jeff, why are you giving out coupons? He goes, well, they deserve it. If you're giving it out to other customers, why don't they deserve the coupon? I said, oh, well, that sounds fair, but you could do more for them. Why don't we do this? How about you start selling prepaid maintenance to all these people? You're showing them value there. It's very obviously important that you show them value and build trust. Let's go over the prepaid maintenance program. Here's how they can save money. And so he started selling those, like to the point where the Mopar rep came in and said, congratulations, you're the #1 prepaid maintenance salesperson in the Northeast region. And so from then on out, he was a hero. That's all it took, was him to have something of value to bring to the customer. And he drove his effective labor rate up from there because he wasn't just giving out coupons all day long.
I remember people like that with the coupons.
Yeah.
Who would cut them out and give them to most every customer. Yeah, about that.
But that sticks with me because we just spotted the numbers, and there had to be a reason why those metrics were what they were. And once we went to him and observed his performance, we spotted it and turned him around.
So having the data gives you the ability to see these things, call them out, look for them, identify what they are, and then create a performance-based improvement, if you will.
Precisely.
Wow. And then you can sort it, as you say here, by location, by parts advisor, by service advisor, by CP warranty, or internal. So
yep.
Pretty clever, Pete. So
by location, or you can look at at an enterprise level of 30 locations, if that were the case.
I was going to say, so what if I have multiple rooftops? So
yeah, you can sort of sift through all of it.
Wow. Now, it's not uncommon. I'll throw you a curve here. Not uncommon. I just was at a dealer group that had made a few recent acquisitions. And so they had 2 different DMSs going. They had one in the majority of their dealerships, but in the new acquisition, they had a different DMS. I'm sure you're able to handle a situation like that as well.
Yeah, it's not uncommon among our client base to have multiple DMSs. In fact, we've got clients that have power sports stores and automotive and RV and marine all on the same platform.
All right. So what are the next steps, Pete? If they're using some sort of a metric, I mean, there are dealers, like you said, that are using Excel spreadsheets. I remember when we first met Tully, he was using he had a beautiful Excel spreadsheet, like you said, the Amalfi Coast, but he moved and graduated on. But I imagine there are a lot of dealers who are still doing stuff like that. What are the next steps? How do they get involved with VisionAST or find out what it could do for them?
Yep, they can visit our website to learn a lot more. They can contact us through the website, VisionAST.com. Email me directly at pete@visionast.com, or my phone number, my cell phone is 518-260-6721.
You'll see a lot of Pete at VisionAST online. Pete, I'm seeing a whole lot more of you in your company. It seems every day now. Okay, you're gaining more and more prominence. So I know, you've cut your teeth in this, in dealership, in retail, and congratulations to you on the success that you're having.
Thank you, Ted.
Any last thing you'd like our audience to know about VisionAST, and as you look out here in September to the balance of the year over the next couple months, anything we should be aware of?
Yes, we keep enhancing. One of the models that I really believe strongly in that this company is driven by is that we're never just like, that's our platform. We're not stagnant, we're growing. We're looking for partners who have a vision of where, fixed ops can go and what that data looks like. And I'd love to talk to those people. So that's my parting words, or share your thoughts.
All right, everybody. Pete, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you so much. Everybody, Pete Carusone, he's the president and CEO of VisionAST. Reach out to him for more information. You can visit VisionAST.com. His email is scrolling across the bottom. Easy to find on social media as well. Pete, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Ted.
Pete Carusone, everybody, from VisionAST, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
If your dealership is leaking profits and you don't know why, you need more than data. You need VisionAST. VisionAST is a single solution analytics platform engineered to uncover critical information from your DMS. Using real-time data to drive profit from every department is what we do. And with VisionAST, just log in on any device and your KPIs are right at your fingertips. You can't manage what you can't measure. Take control of your dealership's profits with VisionAST.
Let's take a peek at one of our pop-up events filmed in Madison, Wisconsin. It is the Kaiser Automotive Group's Women Service Managers.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I am Ted Ings. We're here at the Kaiser Automotive Group in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. Shawn Kingrey is with me. Shawn is the Vice President of Fixed Operations. Shawn, I'm learning a whole lot about your organization.
It's a great organization, and I'm blessed up here. So out of the 8 stores that we have 4 female service managers. And today we have 2 of them. I'll introduce yourself.
I'm Christina. I'm the service manager at SL Motors in Pulaski, Wisconsin.
I'm Samantha. I'm the service manager at Kaiser Chrysler in Sauk City.
So I don't have to tell you, ladies, that it is not every day that we have women as service managers. Congratulations. But you know what? We also want to highlight women as dealers as well, because the automotive industry is a great place for a career. Tell us a little about your career path, Christina, and how you got where.
I actually started out right after high school. I joined a dealership, a small town dealership, and worked my way from being the receptionist all the way up to a service advisor, and did that for several years. Moved on to another dealership, a little bit bigger one, did it for a while, and moved up to a warranty administrator. And then I was promoted to a service manager. So I've been in a service manager position for over 12 years.
Okay, and all those steps along the way, how valuable is that to have been a warranty administrator?
They're very valuable because then you get to know what all the steps are in the process of the day that go on, what that other person is feeling throughout the day, and kind of just a general idea of what's all going on throughout the whole dealership.
Okay, fantastic. Samantha, yourself?
I also started out right out of high school as a service advisor. Was at a Ford dealership for about 10 years there, and then did warranties for a couple of years out of my house for them. And then I was at another dealer for about 10 years as well. After my 8-month or so time as a service advisor at my first store, I was promoted to service manager. So I've been a service manager about 22 years now. So it just kind of, I did stay home for a little while with my kids.
Sure.
And when I started to look for a job again, I went right back to the automotive industry. It just kind of fell in my lap, and that was what I was supposed to do. So here I am.
Fantastic. So, ladies, speak to us a little bit about, the challenges, okay, and the opportunities, okay, of being a woman in retail automotive, because I think a lot of folks are not aware about all the opportunities that are there, but there also are some unique challenges that I'm sure you face along the way as well.
We do have some challenges throughout the day. Like I said, we have some customers, or when I first started out, that didn't feel women belonged in this position, that it was in the male industry, but everyone has come a long ways. It's been nice. Everyone's accepted everything and made everyone feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable. And I have a great team behind me at work. They're all supportive. They don't make you feel uncomfortable if you're struggling with something or feel uncomfortable or need help. Everyone here at the dealership is willing to help. Nobody pushes you aside or anything like that.
And as a follow-up question, I'll come to both of you on this. As a follow-up, from a customer's perspective, when the customer comes in, because most of the decisions, I believe, in the world are made by the woman, okay? Does it speak volumes when we have women represented who are on the service drive, who are in management, to a customer, especially a female customer, who may feel more comfortable, dealing with a woman than a man?
Oh, we've had a lot of our female customers make that comment that they do feel more comfortable. I actually, at my store, my service advisor team is all females.
Really?
They are. I have one main shop technician that does come forward, if we have a customer that prefers to talk to a male, he will come up and interact with the customer and make them feel more comfortable. But yes, I'm proud to say that my whole team is all females.
I love it. What a strong message. And same question. Challenges that may have happened along the way and some of the opportunities.
With me being service manager, pretty much from the beginning, I did have a lot of challenges because back then it was, late 90s. And that was just when women were kind of starting to get into this role. And there were a lot of older men that they would just downright say, I don't want to talk to you. And so that took me into more of like a challenging mode where I said, well, just give me a chance. And I would explain to them. And, over a couple of times of them coming in, they really realized that it's really not something that a woman can't understand. So it's a fun challenge for me to be able to prove people wrong that, everybody is capable of doing anything.
We have heard so many stories at these pop-up events of ladies at the dealership who have risen through the ranks, just as the men have as well, because there's a career path. If I could, Christina, speak to our audience, the people watching, ladies watching who are maybe considering a career in retail automotive. What advice and what would you want to tell them if you had this opportunity right now?
I would just say don't hold back. If it's your dream, just go for it because there's nothing we can't do.
That's right.
Yeah, and here's the message as well.
The main message is a lot of women won't even give it a chance. And it is really something that you can put your heart into because, especially me as a mom, I kind of use that as my type of leadership. I want to guide everybody into the right direction. If that's what they're willing to do, everybody's absolutely capable of doing it. Doesn't matter what gender you are.
Shawn, what a great message from you.
It is a great message. Ted, I am blessed because out of the 4 female service managers we have, all 4 are unique. Where Christina was here when I got here. Samantha came, we recruited her along the way. We've got one that was promoted from within, and we've got another one that we acquired a store. So you have 4, we're all the way across the rainbow with it, where we've got it all covered. And it's unique. I'm very blessed with the 2 of these. I talk to them pretty much every day, via text or whatever. We have a lot of fun. I think we have fun. We try to have fun.
We do.
We try to stay as within boundaries as we can. But, Ted, these 2, listen, it's not me that makes it work. It's these guys that make it.
Final question for today. Opportunities to grow within the retail automotive business. I know when I started off in the business, I didn't realize that so many opportunities in sales, service, parts, but there's finance, there's logistics, there's and you can divide parts up into wholesale parts and now online parts and retail parts. What do you see as for people looking out into the future as we're getting into more of a digital age? Okay, people interacting on their phones. Do you still consider this to be a very viable career path for people looking, to have a career in automotive?
I believe it is a viable one. I mean, we're still going to have the hands-on with the cars and the technicians. So I see viable, yes.
Yeah, as long as, the Kaiser group, especially just because I was in 2 smaller dealers and then moving into Kaiser and the impact that they have on taking on all of the new technologies and all of the new things like with dealer pay and all that kind of stuff, it really gives us the opportunity to just continue moving forward with and grow with them.
Well, ladies, congratulations. It's a great honor to have you both here today at the event and to hear your stories and just amazing. So everybody, if you would, stay with us. We have a lot more coming up on the great people from the Kaiser Automotive Group. We're in Madison, Wisconsin at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We will be right back. Our revolutionary pop-up events have sparked a new wave of growth and innovation.
Become part of the brand that is shaping retail fixed operations at FixedOpsRoundtableCertified.com.
We're booking it to our next segment. Please welcome the BizzyCar panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's a great honor to have the panel from BizzyCar with us today with an all-star retail lineup, including our friend Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, Florida, and Josh Nigro and Danny Marks from Metro Ford. In Southern Florida, this is the Florida lineup. Mike Murray, Chief Revenue Officer. Everyone, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Ted. Excited about it.
Ed, I was at your event over the summer in Orlando, and I noticed that BizzyCar, Mike Murray, they played a big part in that. So, Ed, recalls are at the top of the list in what people are talking about in retail today.
Well, there's tons of opportunity to reintroduce our stores to our customers with recalls. A lot of times the customers that has recalls on their vehicles are not customers that typically come back to the dealer for service. So it's an opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to our customers.
Yep. And Mike, we hear a lot about customer retention, retaining the customer being so important. And I can see how BizzyCar enters into that equation, especially with all the technology you've built in. So, Josh, if I can come to you and Danny first with my question. Prior to using BizzyCar, what method or methods were you using to manage recalls at your location?
I mean, originally, I was tasked with trying to find these recalls, trying to find, different dealers and customers through our database to, basically do an inventory search and just try and find as many recalls as I could on my own. We all know that can be time consuming, and, you find yourself juggling kind of your daily tasks as well as trying to do that,
That sounds like a lot of work. And your dealership, you're also in the mobile business, as I understand. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Our mobile van has been really big. Definitely a big benefit. Having BizzyCar on board, helping us with that as well. Making sure your tech is booked and ready for the day throughout the week with a consistent workload is pretty key. And, BizzyCar definitely helps with that.
Ed, I know that you also have a small mobile business there at your location. I got a chance to see it in person a few months ago. Ed, what method or methods were you using for recall, technology prior to this?
Well, prior to BizzyCar, it was very manual, and we would scrub it against our DMS, and we wouldn't necessarily reaching out to customers that wasn't doing business with us, because if we didn't have the latest information in the manual list, then if we scrubbed it against our DMS and they hadn't been in here, we didn't have that information. So it was very manual, and it narrowed that window down to where, all right, you have this many, but we can only connect with this many. So it was an opportunity to really connect with a wider window of our customers.
Danny and Josh, any challenges you encountered? And if so, what were they along the way in bringing BizzyCar in and implementing it?
I mean, I guess I would say the biggest challenge on our end before BizzyCar was like I said, the time. It's very time consuming to make sure you have a consistent workload for your technicians. So spending all this time to try and find that work, alleviating that time, it definitely helps.
Give us the lay of the land at Metro Ford. Approximately, ballpark, how many technicians do you have?
Right now, we're looking at probably close to 16 technicians, and we're actually on the onboarding process of a few more. So we have a decent sized shop, and we have 2 vans right now. So we're working on trying to build our fleet up with the mobile side, as well as make sure our shop is full too.
Ed, you talk a lot about the importance of customer convenience, in our new age of retail. And we're hearing a lot about that. You're spot on with that. Does this enter into the equation of being convenient for the customer?
Oh, definitely. The convenience of a text or a phone call to set up something that'll come right to you. And it's like we're living in the Amazon world, You get a text or a phone call, and there you are, right at your doorstep. I mean, that's kind of where the service world is headed. Everybody wants that convenience.
Ed, your thoughts?
Yeah, the opportunity is endless on it, because customers that has recalls on their vehicles that don't typically do business with us, they're not bringing it in to us because they don't feel a problem with their vehicle. A recall doesn't necessarily mean that it's not functioning properly. It means that it may not pass a compliance issue or something like that. So they may not necessarily ever feel a problem with it. And in their mind, they don't need to bring it in. Everything's fine with them. Right. And if we can minimize that inconvenience where they don't have to bring it into us, so we can go to them with mobile, that's where BizzyCar really ties into it, because BizzyCar can search our inventory. They know whether we have the parts for it if needed. They can set it up for us. They give us all the information, and it allows us to keep our guys busy. Last thing we want to do is bring a tech into the shop and not keep them busy. Well, that's even more so when you got a truck rolling around on the street. You got to make sure you keep those guys busy as well.
Mike, a lot of great thinking has gone into BizzyCar. You've been involved with several big technologies that have come to fruition, in the last dozen years, and you're well known in the industry. I have found that out as well. What was the thinking behind this? Because I like what these gentlemen are saying, the Amazon of retail automotive.
Yeah, I think that, the thinking behind it is when you can find any company that benefits the consumers that come into the store, so the customers that shop in the store, you can benefit the dealership itself, and you can benefit the OEM. Those are winning combinations. So we typically look for opportunities that are there. And BizzyCar is that. I mean, BizzyCar takes care of the recalls that are outstanding that NHTSA and everyone else pushes down, from an OEM perspective, the dealership. And then from there, we're helping the dealership because we're helping them, as Ed, Josh, and Danny have said, we're helping them be more efficient inside the store. Right? We're helping them drive consumers back in, those defectors that have come back in. We're helping them bring high margin recall work into the store that's valuable, and we're doing it in an efficient way. And then for the consumer, which is the third beneficiary of it, we're talking about convenience. Ed and Josh just talked about the Amazon. We're talking about giving customers a choice now. If you're offering mobile or whatever it is, do you want to come into the store? Do you want us to do the pickup and drop off for those dealers that are doing it? Do you want us to come to you? And having those conveniences is a game changer. And where it really impacts is on the new sales front. You want to talk about a differentiation in the marketplace when you can say you offer these convenience for your customers. I think we'll start seeing more customers drive up their loyalty as a result of having these options. So super excited that we've been able to be a part of it and helping customers do this and benefit all three facets of the dealership as we think about it.
Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln, you see a lot of new technologies. Why did you decide to partner with BizzyCar?
BizzyCar made it efficient for us. They went out and found the pain points for us because ultimately we're all looking for efficiencies. And it was a very manual process before. And not only did they go out and say, hey, we can find these customers for you, but we can tell you if you have the parts to take care of it, that they tied additional efficiencies to what we was already doing. And when you can do those things and drive business into the store, it's a win-win for everybody. It supports BizzyCar. It helps them further develop their product. And it helps us keep our 10 mobile trucks busy.
I love it. I love the numbers. Josh and Danny, you mentioned to me in the green room, you've been with BizzyCar approximately 2 years. What made you decide, same question for you, what made you decide to partner with BizzyCar?
We saw an opportunity when, I saw it and we made a call and just saw a great opportunity. And, we basically, wanted to partner because we needed some help to get our van going. It's difficult to get it started. And that was, what we found with BizzyCar, that, they had an opportunity to reach out to customers for us. So then, we can get the arrangements going. It was having like an extra body in your service department to make the calls so you can go out and find the customers.
From what I hear, it works really well throughout the entire shop, and the fact that you've got the mobile operation even puts it on steroids, if you would. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you would. 2 years now with BizzyCar, what impact has it had on your business, maybe in terms of dollars or hours or the efficiencies you're all mentioning?
I'll take that first. We've been doing mobile since 2015, and we've been expanding it out. But over the last 2-3 years, we've really tried to expand that. And with expanding that, we need things to help get those guys started and have them something to do where I can send them in certain areas. And BizzyCar really opened that window for us to be able to reach more customers and get all those vehicles moving. But one thing, and I won't Mike touch on this in a moment after Josh touches on this, is although we're 2 Ford dealers, it's not just Ford dealers that these guys support. We're on here because it really helps us get our mobile up and going or expand our mobile. But the opportunity is endless for us as far as taking care of our customers and driving them in and making sure that they have a safe automobile to drive and taking care of the recalls they've made and maybe putting off because they don't know how to fix it or don't know how long it'll take to do it or whether the store has parts or making that connection with the store. And BizzyCar does all those things for you.
Yeah. Same question, Josh and Danny, impact that it's had on your business.
yeah, I mean, to touch on a similar sense, you know, the simplicity of getting an email or, you know, a time frame and basically, you know, that initial interaction is already done. We just got to go out and get it done after that. Is the gist of everything. It's just the efficiency that brings is there's no comparison. You know, like we said, it's like having an extra body in the shop. You know, it's like having a specialty BDC department just for, you know, your mobile or your recalls, which is, you know, in turn, the more efficient you are, the more money you're going to make. I mean, it's basic math here.
You know, Mike, a lot of Ford dealers have talked about, you know, how to make their mobile operation work, and BizzyCar now is a big part of that, because we've learned from many roundtables, especially with Ed on here, you know, about how to look at that business, and recalls are a big part of it. But Mike, this is a lot bigger than just Ford and mobile. Talk to us about some of the other relationships that you've got at BizzyCar.
Yeah, so I mean, Ford happens to be, we decided to load up the eastern side of Florida, which was kind of early entries into mobile, and obviously both stores have continued to grow that business. But our relationships go well beyond just Ford. I mean, we're working with a number of OEM companies. I mean, you pick them, we're working with them to help them drive efficient business back in. Every customer or every brand, OEM brand, is experiencing recalls, and our ability to optimize and leverage AI to get in front of these customers, regardless of the brand, is what's critical. So creating a way for dealerships to efficiently reach out to their customers, to get them, even those defectors, back in the store, regardless of brand, is huge. So, I mean, I'd venture to guess how many, but I mean, we have hundreds, thousands of customers across it from other brands outside of Ford. I just happen to be lucky enough today to get 2 Ford dealers that were on the call. So next time we'll expand it, Ted, and we'll bring on some Hyundais and some General Motors and Nissans and other groups as well.
And I like what you've done by making sure parts are in stock when the customer comes in. Ed, talk to us about that, because I think that's one of the unique differentiators in what BizzyCar is doing.
Well, before talking about going out and narrowing on that window of what you could really chase after, also we have to go to parts and verify that we have whatever we need and all those other elements. And these guys tie it all together. And when they do, it's efficient. And if we don't have the parts, then that's on us. And we need to make sure that happens and take care of that. But as soon as it hits the system, we don't have to notify anybody. They pick it up and then they start scheduling those customers. Yeah. So they tied all the elements together. Really, the only thing that we got to bring is the experience to the customer.
Yeah. Mike, I recall Bob Tasca on the last Fixed Ops Roundtable was on a panel with you, and he said, you know what, just turn it on. We just turned it on, and it made a huge difference in his 27 plus and growing rooftops. Talk to us about that, because it really is an automated solution that works.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it literally is as simple as Bob put it. I can't say it as eloquently as Bob did on the last call, but the reality of it is we've created an automated recall management system. It's not a product, it's a system. Everything from finding cars to scheduling directly in the store, and through the integrations that we've put in place, we know parts availability. I know bay availability. I have parameters in which I can schedule in. So this is a set it and forget it program for dealers. And oftentimes, as everyone here knows, we're not short in dealership world of finding vendors, right? We can bring in new technologies, new software, and dump them in here. What we have a challenge with, though, is we've got to train people on most of these technologies to get them to work. Software for itself just doesn't work. In our case, it does, where you can put a program in place. You don't have to change a process inside the service ops or the fixed ops area. You set it and forget it. It requires no additional training. And the leads and the deals and the customers and the money and everything else starts flowing in automatically. So our automation there that we built is just rock solid. It's just freeing up dealers, as Josh and Danny and Ed have said, to do it. And those integrations are absolutely critical. And we continue to expand those integrations, every week, every month, adding new DMS systems like PBS recently. So we just continue to expand our portfolio of the integrations that we have to set it and forget it for dealers.
Josh and Danny, if I had to ask you the best part of this whole automated recall process, working with BizzyCar and their sophisticated technology, if you had to boil it down to the best part, if I asked you that, what would you say it is?
I would have to say the best part about working with BizzyCar is the simplicity of the process. Okay, like we've been saying, they do the initial interaction, they do the heavy lifting, as we would call it. They get everything set up, and we just got to show up and do the job. That I think is the best part about BizzyCar, because it allows me to utilize my time in a more efficient manner. The time I would spend to try and find all of the information and all of this stuff, it's cut into fractions with the help of BizzyCar.
Yeah, their communication's amazing.
Yeah,
That's one thing I can tell you. Communication's so easy.
Kind of hard to choose just one thing, but that's really the big benefit there is the efficiency and the simplicity of the process. I think is the best thing.
Ed, you always give us something to think about that we didn't expect. If I had to ask you, best part of working with BizzyCar.
Mike just touched on this, the automation. Before it was very manual, and several people had to be involved. So if one leg of that was left out, you didn't accomplish anything. And with the automation, it's all there. And it's just a matter of us following through on the schedule that is set up. And like Mike said, we give them parameters of when they can set stuff up, when they can schedule stuff, when they can bring it in. And all we have to do is execute it. And if you think about that and take that a little bit deeper, we're talking about recalls, and for all of us, our best effective rate is warranty rates. And it's the things that and recalls are the things that put us most liable with our customers. So the opportunities are endless for what we can do with it, because not only does it bring us our best effective, but it reintroduces our customers to the experience that we bring to them, and allows us to start the circle of life all over, or maybe selling them their next vehicle, or continuing to service the vehicle that they're currently driving. And we have to introduce ourselves and be able to take care of them first in a non-intrusive way. And that's what BizzyCar does.
Everyone, we're speaking to a retail panel today. Josh Nigro and Danny Marks, Metro Ford in South Florida. A little further up the coast, Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Mike Murray, the Chief Revenue Officer of BizzyCar, is here with us as well. Gentlemen, last question for today, and I'll start it off with Danny and Josh. For your peers who are watching today, who are thinking about maybe dipping their toe in the water and getting involved with an automated recall technology, if you had to give any piece of advice to the folks watching today who are sitting in your chair in other dealerships around the country, what advice would you give them?
Just do it. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. Call Mike Murray. I got his number. I'll give it to you.
Don't give out my cell phone, guys.
push the button, make the change. If something's not working for you, try and fix it. And BizzyCar helps us fix it. Simple as that. If you're hesitant on pushing that button, don't be. They're definitely it's definitely a benefit to making that change for sure.
Yeah. Ed Roberts.
Well, you said dealers are thinking about sticking their toe in. Don't stick your toe in. Jump in. When you stick your toe in, you're asking for it to fail. You're looking for a reason for it not to work. Jump in, sign up, let's roll. You can make things happen, and the opportunity is what you make it. If you limit yourself by sticking your toe in, you will limit the results you get from it.
Mike, I told you a few months back when we spoke with Ryan that I see a lot of technology here on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and I believe that what you have at BizzyCar is not only one of the best, but you've got it down, okay, and it's ready, and it's in prime time today. Mike, if you're speaking to the other retailers around the country right now who are thinking of jumping in, okay, into the automated recall technology world, what would you say?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for putting this panel together and all that, but it's simply as that. Jump in, reach out to us. We're dealers, and it's really important to know this. This wasn't created by people sitting in a room somewhere that thought it might have been a good idea. It was literally created in a dealership by dealers for dealers. So that's a really critical component to it. We understand the challenges that dealers have. We understand the frustrations that come with running a shop and running a store. So we built a program that alleviates those challenges and puts guarantees in place to make sure that they're successful. So, reach out to us. Let's get started. It's really easy. It doesn't take a lot of effort. And like I said, And Ed and Josh and Danny said, it takes care of itself. It gets up and running. It runs and operates behind the scenes, and we'll help make you successful and get you off the ground and get those hard to reach customers, get those dollars, those warranty dollars Ed just talked about, bring that brand promise back and taking care of those warranties and do it in an efficient way. So really look forward, and hopefully we hear from a number of different dealers across the country and we can get you started. So thank you.
Well said, everybody. Appreciate it. Everybody, BizzyCar.com. You can see that scrolling in the bottom here of the screen. Mike Murray is the Chief Revenue Officer. There's an email there, hello@BizzyCar. I know Mike is also available. He's on LinkedIn. He's on social media. And you see a lot of talk about BizzyCar. I see a lot of the posts about the growth they're having, about how they're expanding and growing and adding people and personnel and adding some of the best in the business. I want to thank Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln for being here today, Josh Nigro and Danny Marks from Metro Ford. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Mike Murray, on behalf of BizzyCar, thank you for all you are doing for our industry. One of the best technologies out there for dealers of any make right now, and very, very timely. Gentlemen, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
The team from BizzyCar here today, everybody, at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Take a moment now to stop your records and pull out your phones to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the event. Remember, every vote counts, so make sure to vote for the 5 speakers or panelists whom you think are the best and grooviest speakers at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And don't forget, you can only vote once, so make it count.
Don't split just yet. Hang loose and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable FORTSTOCK event.
Give us a beat. Put your drumsticks together for Sticks Brown and the Radiant Ride retail panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. The idea of combining cosmetic car care repairs and routine maintenance during the same service visit is catching on. Today, people are keeping their cars a lot longer. I just saw a statistic. It's 12 and a half years now, cars on the road on average. And that automotive reconditioning industry, a $5.4 billion with a B industry annually and growing. Our panel today is led by Earl Sticks Brown, our great friend from Radiant Ride, and Kelly Culliver from Radiant Ride. First of all, Sticks and Kelly, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Pleasure to be here. Hi, Kelly. How you
Hi,
guys
thank
doing?
you.
And a big shout out and thank you to our panelists today who are joining us. An exciting time for the Fixed Ops community and sector, and we're really glad to be a part of it, Ted.
Well, what you're doing is very exciting, Sticks, and like no other. So tell us, introduce to us, if you wouldn't mind, who we have today on the panel.
Absolutely. Upper right-hand corner, we have Robert Riley, Service Director, Modesto Mazda. Below him, Sandra DeSando. She's the mobile tech and reconditioning company for Folsom Ford, Kia. And then we have Mr. Daniel Morrissey, Central Valley Hyundai, VW, longtime partner of Radiant Ride, and our operations director, Kelly Culliver. Welcome, everyone.
Love it. Sticks, what you're doing is so unique right now in the industry, and you're providing, our good friend Ed Roberts talks about convenience and how convenience now is at the top of the list for consumers. And we're all consumers. We all walk around with a phone, and we'd like the convenience of things that we can have now. You make that service visit ultra convenient, Sticks. I don't know anybody that says, I really look forward to going to the dealership today, but you make sure that that visit is a very worthwhile one. So if I can start with Robert Riley, if you could, tell us a little bit about your dealership and your experience with Radiant Ride and how it works there.
So hello, my name is Robert Riley. I'm the service manager here at Modesto Mazda. I've been with Modesto Mazda since we opened a little over 4.5 years ago. I've been working with Stix Brown and Radiant Ride for probably 10 plus years now. Radiant Ride has been a great product, bringing it into the service department, streamlining the service with getting your car service, oil changes and rotations, and then also taking care of any small dings and minor repairs. So it's been nice having to be able to work with Radiant Ride to streamline that process to get cars in and out of the dealership and take care of the customers.
And Robert, how long did you say you've been working with Radiant Ride?
I've been working with Radiant Ride for probably 10 plus years for sure. I've known Stix for a while.
Wow. Stix, what brought you into Modesto Mazda? How'd that happen?
Well, Modesto Mazda is a part of the Central Valley Automotive Group. And when they opened that Mazda point, Robert Riley was recruited from another dealership that we worked with, and he immediately brought the Radiant Ride program to his store. So we have a long history of partnering with his store, his team, and they do a great job. We also arranged a video at his store to summarize and highlight the benefits of the Radiant Ride experience. And Robert, you can talk a little bit about that if you'd like.
Well, that was a lot of fun setting up the video right there. Trying to think. It's been a minute since I've done the video, so I'm just trying to refresh myself. Sorry, but the whole Radiant Ride process and working with them has been great. Very easy to work with. Get a claim going. You do everything online for submitting it. You get an approval back. It's a pretty quick process, and get the cars in and out.
Robert, is the Radiant Ride product initially coming to the customer through the sales department?
Yes. So that is something that is sold on the purchase of the vehicle in the finance department. And then the scheduling portion of it would go through the service department for taking care of any needs or repairs.
Okay. And what's the reaction been in service when a customer comes in and, identifies themselves? Or how does that happen? How do you identify that they are, have Radiant Ride on the vehicle?
So when a customer comes in for a oil change and they have a Radiant Ride package, they usually will mention to us if they're having a ding or a rim scratch or something of the sort, and they will take care of it. We'll get it all set up and taken care of while they're here for service.
Okay, fantastic. Daniel, I want to ask you a similar question there at Central Valley Hyundai Volkswagen. Same question. Tell us about your dealership and what you do and how you provide that Radiant Ride experience.
My pleasure. So my name is Daniel Morrissey. I'm the service manager here at Central Valley Volkswagen Hyundai. I've been here for a few years, was with Central Valley Nissan. Before that, have been working with Stix and the Radiant Ride team for about 8+ years now. It's a great product. I think what the biggest takeaway, not only for the dealership and everybody that works with Radiant Ride, is the convenience for the customer. That they can get more than just standard oil change. They can get light body work on their vehicle, rim repairs, dent removal, and working with Kelly and Stix, they just make it very convenient for the dealership as well with processing any of these claims with the customer. It's pretty seamless, and it's just overall just convenient for both the dealership and the customer.
Daniel, do most customers schedule that at the time of, let's say, having a service appointment, or does that happen once they get to the store?
A lot of the times we do schedule it beforehand just so that it's more streamlined. It makes it a little easier for everybody involved, knowing that the customers have come in. Sometimes we send pictures to Kelly, and then we work with our in-house repair company, like Sticks was saying, so that if we connect all the dots, and it's maybe a little bit easier for everybody involved.
Kelly, how difficult was this to get started initially at these dealerships? Because it looks like Robert and Daniel, have had this up and running now for quite some time, and it's very successful.
Yes. It's dealerships like theirs, it actually was fairly easy because they already had techs in-house that they worked with. So it really was just minor training with the service staff to just make sure they were scheduling customers on the same day that they had the in-house repair techs. So that it was fairly easy with them. Some dealerships don't really have those techs in place yet. So then when we go in, we need to find technicians that will go in, make sure they're on a pretty steady schedule, because a lot of techs will, say, well, I'll go into the dealership just on Wednesdays. And that's really not good enough for the dealership. We need to be able to support them more than, 1 day a week. So sometimes, depending on the city, depending on the dealership, it takes a little work finding technicians that are going to provide the customer service that we hold ourselves up to, and the professionalism, and also give the dealership enough days to support them. But going into the Central Valley dealerships was fairly easy because they have a great team. They already had everything in place.
So Kelly, you're really working on parallel tracks while you're adding dealerships. And again, not every dealership is going to be a Radiant Ride dealership. You're also working on the support side to make sure that that's seamless for the customer and very convenient for them as well.
Right. And they, sometimes customers don't understand, and rightfully so, that you have to make your cosmetic repair, you have to schedule it ahead of time. So a lot of times a customer will think, well, I'm going in for an oil change. I made that appointment. And when I get there, I'll tell them I have a dent or ding that I need repaired. And that's a little tricky because, like I said, we don't always have the cosmetic techs in the dealership every single day, 24 hours. So in that circumstance, we usually have the service people let them know that they do need to schedule those ahead of time. However, if they want a mobile tech to be sent to their home now, they can, so that they don't have to come back to the dealership again. So, it might be a little inconvenient to them that they're there and, oh, well, now I want the dent and now somebody's not here. So, but it usually makes them feel a lot better that the service person it just says, here, give Radiant Ride a call, and they'll send them to you so you don't have to come in. So we made cards that we give all the service advisors that have a QR code. Okay. They just hand that to the customer. I'll put it up. Mm-hmm. And they just scan the QR code, and they can just schedule it online or give us a call, and then we'll send the tech to their home so they don't have to bring it back to the dealership again.
Sticks, a lot of thinking behind this, into the logistics that you put into this, and you've seen this grow over the years. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. No, this is where the rubber meets the road, Ted. Our service advisors and managers know how firsthand, and mobile techs, and Sandra will talk to this, is the logistics of executing the Radiant Ride experience. It requires a lot of, or just planning on how we coordinate this service during routine maintenance and make it seamless, right? It's easier said than done, but here's the big picture benefit, all right? And this question I'd like to pose to the audience is, can you think of a automotive facility that provides routine maintenance and cosmetic repairs during the same service visit? Is there currently an automotive facility that consumers can go to for an experience combining routine maintenance and cosmetic repairs? I think when we answer that question, you'll see that there's a huge void in the market for service. And what we're spearheading is a concerted effort with key dealerships to make this product available, or make this service available, because our data shows that there's just a lot of runway that customers will appreciate this type of service.
And Sticks, we haven't introduced Sandra yet. Tell us the relationship with Sandra and how that came about, and then we'll come to her.
Absolutely. One of the logistic components of offering cosmetic repairs is relying on vendors who offer our complete service portfolio of repairs. In the cosmetic repair space, there are mobile techs that just do dents, some that just do windshield chips, some that do paint touch-ups, some that do wheels. Sandra's company covers the entire gamut of all of those repairs. So it makes it easier for a dealer to designate her company to provide a more seamless service experience. The Dent Shop is a full service cosmetic repair facility.
So
Did I cover that pretty well, Sandra?
Sandra, you're a partner to Radiant Ride and the dealer as well.
Yes, so I think we've got a great partnership, and Folsom Ford and Kia know they can rely on us. I actually don't have a mobile service for dent repair, only like windshield repair right now, but a lot of times customers don't have an appointment for a dent repair, so they'll bring it in for an oil change or some other services and say, hey, by the way, I got this dent, I got this windshield chip, can you look at this wheel? They call me. I'm usually there, you know, within an hour or two, pick up the car, do the services, and bring it back. Or when the customer's car is off the rack, they can coordinate with me. So I do a pickup and delivery service because my shop is so close to the dealership. And then the customer knows where we're located. So if it works out better for them, they can come directly to us because we can do the claims ourselves. And our shop is open Monday through Saturday. So even if Saturday's better for them to just buzz on by and get a dent taken care of. So it's really nice to do the full gamut. I feel really good when somebody has multiple services that they need done and we can do them all at the same time. They're always very impressed and happy that they purchased this service, because it's really crazy. It's amazing how many people will get a dent in their car within the first 3 weeks of owning it, even though their last car they had for 20 years never got a dent in it. So it's kind of Murphy's Law, and this is a way to kind of help with that,
Let me ask first Daniel and then Robert, how's the coordination of all this going? Because you got a lot of pieces here, right? You got a customer who's coming in for regular routine maintenance, and then you've got these other services. Talk to us, Daniel, how that works, the logistics of that, and making sure it's coordinated and still very convenient for the customer.
Most definitely. Kelly already kind of touched on it a little bit. We kind of had to work through some hurdles and heartburns and whatnot for a little bit, but Kelly spoke on it, having technicians here that can work on the vehicle. That is a plus, and that makes it a little bit easier. However, just setting expectations for the customer on what to expect, wait times, stuff like that. And then the QR code and setting things up prior to them arriving, and basically setting that expectation for the customer is a huge benefit, and puts everybody on the same page on what to expect when they arrive here, who to look for, and then just what to expect at the end product.
Quick follow-up question, Daniel, and then I'll go to Robert. How about the customer satisfaction? How's this affected CSI?
It's great. I mean, like you mentioned, customers are keeping their cars a lot longer, so they want to keep what they have looking good. So that goes hand in hand with keeping their cars running well. So again, it goes with convenience. If a customer can make one stop and get maintenance or repairs done on their vehicle, and at the same time make their car look a little better, I mean, they're killing two birds with one stone.
Excellent. Robert, let me come to you over at Modesto Mazda. Now, I know, Robert, the Mazda customer is traditionally a little bit different than other customers.
Yeah, no, it's always been good. It's a streamlined process. I mean, Daniel really touched on the whole thing. I mean, being part of the same dealer group, we work with the same vendors to get the customers taken care of. Process is, easy. We get them in, take care of the service of the vehicle, and then we're getting it down to the Radiant Ride part of it to either get the dent taken care of, or, if the customer's got a little wheel rash going on the rim, getting it sent down to the vendor to get the wheel rash taken care of and getting it all cleaned up and looking like new again. CSI-wise, it definitely is a great help with CSI. Customer satisfaction is an important thing to all of us at the dealerships, of course. And having a process where the customer can come in, take care of the service, get a little dent repair done at the same time, definitely makes it convenient for the customer and keeps everybody happy and the vehicle's on the road.
Kelly, your company, Radiant Ride and Sticks, have been great about getting the word out. Okay. I see Radiant Ride now everywhere. All right. Talk to us about some of the challenges in growing and making sure that you can provide this consistent experience across all these dealerships as Radiant Ride, as the brand continues to expand.
The value proposition that we're delivering in the marketplace through dealerships is well received. It sells itself, Radiant Ride, just the convenience factor. It really resonates with new car owners. This panel and our discussion about the execution of the logistics is where the rubber meets the road. Our ability to scale Radiant Ride really relies on our ability to recruit and build our network of mobile techs, all right, and who could support the repair activity of customers who are coming back to the dealerships, all right, for routine maintenance and cosmetic repair. So Kelly, our director of operation, really networks with a lot of mobile techs and qualifies, it's just not about fixing a dent. It is about, having that professional reputation in the marketplace, quality repairs, how they engage with customers. The Radiant Ride experience includes a lot of these variables. So we are very proactive in just setting the bar for the techs that we work with. It goes beyond just doing a cosmetic repair. There's a lot of additional professional factors that go into being eligible for our network. And Kelly, you can speak to that a little more if you'd like.
Sure. So, and when we're about to go into a marketplace, into a new dealership, I'll go there weeks, maybe even months ahead of time before we launch with that dealership, and just hit the ground talking to different technicians, different shops, just to have them all lined up before we launch, to make sure we're ready. And that's probably one of the most difficult challenges is, we really pride ourselves on having 5-star customer service. And unfortunately, not all shops, not all mobile technicians have that professionalism to them. So, I really have to go check them all out, make sure their work, not only is their work great, but their customer service is up to par. And that definitely takes a couple of weeks, if not months, to kind of get set up in that area before the dealership. But like Stick said, we also hold things to a different caliber to become part of our dealership network. If we think a dealership might not hold up to that customer service that we're really looking for, we won't necessarily go in every dealership. So things need to be in that, that 5-star customer service range for us to all collaborate and get together.
I've seen it in action. I've seen the collateral materials as well. Sandra, I want to ask you, so did you find Radiant Ride or did Radiant Ride find you? How did that all come about?
Radiant Ride found me, and I can't even remember how, Sticks. It just seems like it's been going so smoothly for so long. I don't even remember exactly how many years it's been. But we all really enjoy this partnership. We really enjoy working with Radiant Ride. We feel like we've really got it down, that the service advisors can just call us when a customer shows up without even an appointment for any of these auto conditioning services and usually get it done that same day. So I feel really confident that, you know, my staff, we're family. So we've been here for 20 years. So we have a great reputation in the community. And a lot of times people are already familiar with our business and then go, oh, you handle my Radiant Ride. That's just great. You know, so.
Well,
Yeah,
all right.
great. I don't know. How did you find me, Sticks? Through
We found Sandra and her company, and as to Kelly's point, prior to going into a specific area, we do a lot of inquiry with people in the business, dealership general managers, service directors, and word of mouth pointed us in the direction of Sandra. We did a little homework. I met with Sandra initially. We had a few meetings to give her the scope of our mission, and it was in line with her corporate value, company values. And so she's been our go-to in the Folsom, Sacramento area for Radiant Ride. And it's been just win-win. Working in concert with the dealership service advisors, her staff and our staff, that's what it takes, a collective effort to execute the Radiant Ride experience. And it's working great.
Kelly, did you want to add something?
Sure. Yeah. And having shops like Sandra that do the full gamut is exactly why putting the work in beforehand to find those good shops and those technicians is so crucial, because that's how we're able to grow. Because if I have someone like Sandra that I can rely on, I know is going to give good customer service, she's going to take care of everything, that saves me a lot of time on my end. Because if I don't have that good core person in that area, and I'm constantly having to call and chase down a dent tech here and a windshield person here and a paint person here, and I'm dealing with people that aren't quite professional, that puts a lot of work on our end, and then we can't continue to expand. So doing that pre-work and finding someone like Sandra is so crucial to our growth, and because Sandra makes my life so much easier. I appreciate her beyond belief.
All right. Lightning round for Robert and David, if I could. Short summary, if you had 30 seconds with a colleague of yours who's watching today, who's thinking about maybe getting on board with Radiant Ride, you had 30 seconds with them. What would you say to them? Robert first, and then I'll come to Daniel second.
I would say that you definitely need to jump on board with Radiant Ride. It's a great product. It's a great way to keep your vehicle looking new and lasting longer for the time that you have it. Great product. I mean, not much I can say. I mean, it sells itself. It really does. Having a product like that to take care of your vehicle and help it maintain and looking nice, that's it right there. So.
Right.
Radiant Ride's a great product.
Daniel?
Yeah, I'd agree with Robert. Easy to work with. Like I was touching on before, convenience, both the customer and the dealership. I do want to kind of circle back to CSI and kind of pivot from there to retention, which is another huge important thing with all dealerships. That's a huge point for all dealerships to retain these customers. And this is just another tool to kind of keep them coming back to us and take care of their vehicle and use a great product. So I'd say CSI and retention and convenience.
Love it. Love the retention piece. Yep. And the convenience as well. Sticks, I'll give you the last word. Bring it home.
Fantastic. Thanks again, everyone, for serving on the panel today. This is great comments, great insights. And just to kind of finalize final thoughts is, here in the U.S., we have over 200 million registered vehicles, over 16 million new vehicles sold a year, 30 million used vehicles served a year. The opportunity for customers to keep their car in pristine condition is going to be just an exciting growth period for us in partnering with dealerships. The whole idea of providing the Radiant Ride experience and working with professional automotive experts like Daniel, Robert, Sandra, and Kelly, and Ted, your team as well, is going to make Radiant Ride be an integral part in making cosmetic repairs and routine maintenance a mass market service opportunity for car owners across the country. Thank you all very much.
Sticks for our audience who want to get involved, not just the early adopters. Now we're in the first and second and third and fourth phases. Sticks, what's the best way for people to reach out to Radiant Ride and to find out more information?
Radiant Ride could be reached at our website, radiantride.com. We are on all social media platforms. We can be reached through LinkedIn as well, through either Kelly or myself, Earl Sticks Brown. And I like the idea of just Googling Radiant Ride. You'll have access to all of our platforms and our contact information through Google as well. So.
Well, Earl, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, or Sticks, should I say, thank you for all you're doing for our industry and elevating the bar. And I love how Daniel summarized it today about that convenience factor, about the not just convenience, but the retention piece as well. So strong stuff there, and keep our customers coming back and keep the trust high. I want to thank Robert. I want to thank Sandra, Daniel, Kelly, Culliver, Earl Sticks Brown from Radiant Ride, highly recommended here at the Roundtable. They're doing great work. Reach out to Sticks and Kelly. RadiantRide.com, everybody. The panel from Radiant Ride here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
The number one benefit of Radiant Ride is convenience for the customer. Whenever they're coming in for maintenance, they're able to come in, get their basic services done, but also take care of the windshields, the wheels, the dents at the same time, allowing us to make it a seamless effort for them.
It's a great benefit, and I've had several customers that I personally know that have purchased Radiant Ride and have told me how great it is. They know that they got a windshield star or other issue with the vehicle, and they don't have to panic because they know, hey, when I go in to get my car serviced next, I'll just get it all taken care of at once, and they love the convenience.
Well, that's what's worked out so well. We've been able to just take care of the regularly scheduled maintenance along with any warranty work or whatever, and we can take care of, you know, what the program has to offer. And so you can encompass the whole experience under one umbrella, and that's what's worked so well for us.
There's a lot of great benefits to Radiant Ride, especially the customer retention. Being able to have customers come back to your dealership. The convenience factor of it, you know, being local, you know, and if there's somebody far away, guess what? Radiant Ride will go to them as well. To be able to have a product that, you know, that takes care of all those things, and for a customer to come into a dealership where they bought it from, and for us to be able to hold on to that customer, you know, it's important. You know, it just brings them back every time, and if they're in here for their third, fourth, fifth year of issues, and at that time they're looking at buying a new car because they're so well taken care of, it's a great tool for the dealership as well. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
You know, with Radiant Ride, that helps us become a one-stop shop for all their needs. You know, we don't have to, you know, they don't have to worry about going anywhere else for any of their vehicle needs at all. There's other dealers out there. The great thing about Radiant Ride is the support behind the scenes. You know, if there's ever any issues or questionable situations, Radiant Ride always stands behind the product and is there for the customer.
The Clean Air Car Care campaign is BG's green initiative designed to promote the BG Platinum Fuel System service, which has been proven to reduce harmful emissions. Additional services featured in the campaign include the BG Platinum 44K service, which restores fuel economy, and the BG Climate Control service that will refresh the air inside your customers' vehicles. Advisors can match the service with the customer's biggest concern. Is it performance and fuel economy? Is it the environment and emissions? Or is it the air quality inside their vehicle? The services offered with the Clean Air Car Care campaign will provide your customers with clean air both inside and outside of their vehicles. Talk to your BG distributor about how to sell more services with BG Clean Air Car Care.
Our next speaker has got the quantum vibes. Please welcome David O'Brien of Quantum 5.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. David O'Brien is with us. He is the CEO and co-founder of Quantum 5, a great friend of the retail community. Dave, welcome back to the event.
Ted, how are you? It is awesome to be here. These are sort of the things I block out on my calendar all year long. So doggone, I'm glad to be back with the roundtable, that's for sure.
I know you take this very seriously, and we are very grateful to you for all that you do for retail fixed operations and beyond, Dave. At Quantum 5, you're making a big difference. I'm excited about your topic today, too.
Yeah, no, you brought us on this journey, buddy, and we're grateful. Yeah, I am excited. You and I have been talking about this for a while, and you know, I'm a guy who's got a huge passion for the heart of service advisors. Anytime I want to get the sales department in a dealership riled up, I just tell them the truth, right? I tell them service advisors have the hardest job in a car dealership. You know, so the fact that you and I get to talk a little bit today about service advisors and what the top ones are doing around America, I love it.
I know you've done a lot of research for this segment, Dave. I had a chance to look ahead of time, and the content, I understand, is based on over 3 years of successful selling skills from Quantum 5. And I'm curious what the top service advisors in the country are doing to create a significant ROI month after month. And you're right, it is the toughest job in the store.
No question about it, right? You know, Ted, whenever I'm with you, one of the things I try to make sure I do, because your audience deserves more fact than opinion, right? And, you know, thanks to our acquisition last year of ESIQ, our company, you know, thanks to the work they've done around the NADA workforce study and around interviews in dealerships with, you know, last year over 60,000 just in 2022. So I went back and I started to pull the data about service advisors, and I pulled our team who's trained several thousand advisors in the last 3 years. And I said, give me the top 5, right? And so you can just imagine what Sarah Van Tyne and some of the talented people we have said when I went top 5 most important skills and things that service advisors execute on that creates ultra high performance. You ready for me to start? I got 5 really good ones for you.
I'm ready, my friend. I'm going to take a lot of notes too.
All right. Number 1, right? And they were really clear about correcting some of my words. So I hope the audience grabs this one, right? Okay. Number 1, they said they have a real walk around. So they didn't say they do a walk around. They said they have a real walk around. And they said great advisors don't view walk arounds as a chore. They don't see it as, oh, I've got a compliance issue, I should check for door dings, right? And they don't see it as a way to just, you know, stick a tire tread measure in there and hold it up in the air, right? Great advisors make it real, they said, because what they do is they use this as relationship time, great question time. Hey, I haven't seen this person. The last service interval was 10 months ago. How are they? How have they been? How's the vehicle overall, right? I'm going to reestablish trust. I'm going to reestablish relationship, and I'm going to let this customer know I am here for them. I am focused. I am the advocate for making sure this vehicle runs great, does great, and it's this real activity that's not forced for them, is what the team and all the data told me, right? And then I said to the team, I go, okay, what's the most important pro tip, right? So you can just imagine my team now going, okay, well, we just told him what the most important thing was. And the pro tip they said is when they talk to the great advisors, right? Because they're busy, I think so many times people underestimate how busy advisors are, right? And as smart a scheduling process as we can do, they got a lot going on. And so they said, the great advisors always have 1 or 2 questions ready in their mind that are regular questions that are about how will I make it real, right? So Ted, last time I saw you, you said you hadn't been going out much, you hadn't been to the lake, you hadn't done anything. And they go, so Ted, tell me, what have you been doing? Have you gotten to the lake? And they know how to connect in some way that makes it real for that customer and go, this wasn't fake. It wasn't just, oh, I see you like the New York Giants by your bumper sticker, right? It's real. Does that make sense, Ted?
It does. It does. In my case, you'd have to put the Buffalo Bills.
I knew I was in dangerous territory with football.
But you wouldn't know unless you went out to the car, right, and saw the bumper sticker. So,
yeah,
you're right. It's a people business. It's a relationship business, and there's nothing more powerful than that relationship. And using that tool, the customer's vehicle, is so critical.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ready for number 2?
I'm ready. Taking notes.
All right. So the team gave me like a whole bunch of them, right? And then I forced them through a really good thinking, narrow down time. So these are in no particular order. They're just what they see great advisors doing all the time, right? Number 2, status updates are not an afterthought. Right? So they said what they see great advisors doing is not falling for that pitfall of, I didn't do a good inform. I didn't set things up when they were there so that they would know when, how, and what does an update process look like. They had CSI and retention in their mindset as, this is what keeps me from being buried in voicemails on my phone. This is what keeps me from having an upset customer calling the receptionist and going, I haven't heard from Dave, right? So they said status updates are a part of what they do to understand, where will the customer be? How will I reach you? What's the best way to reach you? Here's what our system's going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's the approximate time a day. And they said advisors who really get good at this have a natural way of setting up communication. They know the customer's preferences. They know things that allow them to reduce those inbound emails and texts and phone messages that could bog them down. And they have prepared with a process that lets a customer go, oh, so this is what will happen. This is how I know things. This is when I'll know them by. And they even knew that I'd prefer a text because I'll be in meetings all afternoon.
Right.
But if you text me, I'll be ready for that, right? So I think status updates being an integral part of the process and not an afterthought, I thought that was a really important one that they came up with. And then they said, pro tip from advisors, right? The pro tip to go with number 2 is organization and time management is their secret. When you see advisors who are busy doing lots of customers every day, but they're not sweating, they said those are all the advisors that have some way of going, this is how I manage. Okay, I had 3 carryovers. I'm going to write 17 tickets today, and this is how I keep it all going. And I got to tell you, I don't care if your time management process is using good sticky notes. I don't care if it's your phone, right? What great advisors have, they said, the pro tip is, I picked how I manage my time, and now I don't change. I manage my time well every day. And I thought that was just really great stuff for young advisors and even advisors who might be struggling to always keep in mind, inform and update is how I do things and manage my time well.
Yeah.
Sound right?
More relevant than ever before. Yep, I agree. Spot on.
Yeah. All right, you ready? Let's
Ready.
see if I can get you again, because I'm doing good. I've gotten 2 now that you haven't said, Dave, you're crazy. What was the team thinking?
No,
Okay.
spot on. So far, so good.
Number 3, advisors prepare in advance for the recommendations they plan to make with that customer.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Right? It's that time we all encourage them that saves them time, which is, how about we go look at the vehicle? How about let's go look at the appointment? How about we look at the maintenance history of the vehicle? How about what did they tell the scheduler or the BDC about the mileage right now? What do we know that allows us to know, yeah, they said they want an oil change, but what do I know and what will I then be prepared to ask more questions about during my walk around that allow me to go beyond just the, hey, they're here for an oil change, or hey, they're just here because the radio's doing something it shouldn't, right? How can I be ready so that I can now set good time expectations so that there are things I can propose to get done today? It's what do I know that vehicle might need that I have to ask questions about, right? Things that I don't want to skip, things that I might be preparing them for an additional appointment if even necessary. That might be 4 days or 10 days from now, but great advisors know how to discuss and be an advocate for taking great care of that vehicle when they see customers. It has to be, Ted, and you and I both see this, but it has to be something more than, holy cow, I'm busy, and wow, they only wanted this, and my scheduler promised them they'd be out in 4 hours, and therefore I'm not going to talk about it because I know they won't want to extend the vehicle. You and I admitted at the beginning of this, hardest job in the dealership is being an advisor.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the ways that they can reduce the fear of friction and reduce the nervousness about selling is that preparation, which will make the job easier.
Much, yeah.
Knowing the vehicle, what I should be thinking about if it's a Dodge truck versus if it's a Jeep Wrangler are different. So get my head ready. And then the team gave me a pro tip. Okay. They said, hey, look, if you really want to become great at this recommendation process, you should be communicating about the next appointment as you finish the current appointment. Yep. They said, great advisors communicate in advance. Look, we're all reading the same newspapers and websites. There's customers that are good people struggling with budgets right now in America, whether it's their credit card interest rate or whether it's their home, right? Yep. And so the more we do today to help people understand why future maintenance is important, what would be that future maintenance, and how do they start saving $30 a month so that 7 months from now, when it's time to do that maintenance on that Dodge truck, which, by the way, they used to make a living with, that it's going to be running, it's going to be great, and I am the advisor who will take great care of it. So I loved that one about the preparation, and I loved that the pro tip was extending that preparation to the customer level so that customers have budgets in mind, things aren't a surprise. Sound right?
Yep. I'm in agreement with all three so far. I'm good. Love it. Good stuff.
All right. Number 4. I haven't gotten in trouble on 3 of them yet. Let's see how I can keep going, right? Number 4, they said, great advisors know the importance of discussing more than just the red or yellow results on an MPI. How am I doing? So here's what the team said, advisors tell them.
Yeah.
They said, I build trust with people by investing the time to make sure they know that I know there's green on there, that there's things that are going well that don't need to be addressed, things that are making that vehicle run great, because I have to show the customer that my tool, whatever my MPI tool is not there for manipulation. They said, the more I use it as a comprehensive, let me share about your vehicle. And one of my team said to me, it's sort of like going for a physical, right? I have to have a physical. It's September, and every September my doctor schedules me, right? And so I thought about it, and my doctor does the same thing, right? My doctor makes a point, I hope yours does too, right? Of telling me, hey, Dave, your blood pressure is good this year, right? And I'm like, I don't have to go home and tell my wife it was too high, right? Or they go, hey, Dave, you actually lost 12 pounds. Good job, right? Because my doctor's got this really long list from a blood test of things about me, right? I love it when he gets to my cholesterol and says, hey, Dave, your bad cholesterol is low and your good cholesterol is really high. So I thought when I heard these advisors say this, I go, it makes so much sense. Because when my doctor does it with me, it makes me feel good. So they build trust by that. And the pro tip the team gave me said is they continue to use the good information to help the customer be prepared for the future, right? Again, we're back to this. Our world has changed now, right? We have more people in the economy going, yeah, I got to pay attention. Gasoline's gone up, right? Think what it was in July and what it is now in September, Ted. And we have to think of our average customer and go, yeah, they need more planning ahead of time. And great advisors say they use the green to say, we won't have to address this for about 12 months. But in about a year, we'll be ready to address this. So I thought that was good continued pro tip around cementing the relationship. I'm taking care of you for a long time. It's you and me against the world making this vehicle run great.
I was just out with Tully Williams in Sacramento at the Nilo group, and this ties into exactly one of the things that he's focusing on with their 10 locations is when the technician looks at the vehicle, it's not just to find out what's wrong, but to complement what's right as well, to complement the green, and to use that in their tech videos and to do a better tech video being more complimentary than negative. So it ties in exactly to that.
I've heard Tully talk about it, and both he and Ed Roberts, right, and some other really great folks. But what I like about it is Tully really drew me to a comparison because he has a brand that I actually drive one of those vehicles. And so after I heard Tully talking with you about it, I went back because I still had the email that had the link to my video they sent me of my last inspection. And I could really feel the difference of my dealership only using things that felt now a little manipulative versus the way Tully is wanting his team to approach it. I think it's important advice.
It is. I wish he was here. He's been out all night at a Woodstock concert, so I'm hoping he gets to come in.
I got to tell you, if he shows up for this with his headband on or something waving the peace sign, right? Yep. I'm just going to be laughing like crazy. That's awesome.
I love him so far. We're spot on.
Okay, number 5, right? Because service advisors are really busy, this one's going to sound hard, but the best advisors say they don't skip it. Number 5 is they thank the customer for the business. Mm-hmm. And what they said is that they make it a point, no matter how busy they are, to find a way that they spend some time with that customer with clearly the purpose being thank you. Not, hey, there's a CSI survey coming. Hey, I could use a good Google review, right? It's,
thank you.
Hey, your business is important. I think about the airlines I fly where the pilot skips it or the pilot does it, right? Where they go, look, we know you had a choice. We know you shopped prices for the airlines. And this service advisor's got to remember, this is the person that allowed us to put brakes on the car, and they didn't shop. They didn't say, wait, I'll take it to Meineke or Just Brakes or whoever. They said, I'm going to cement the relationship with this person. I'm going to look at them with gratitude in my heart and my voice. I'm going to remember that my kids and my spouse eat better because these customers call me. And yes, I find a way to let them know that along with my gratitude, there might be a survey coming their way and that I am equally as grateful when they complete it. And then here's the pro tip that some advisors gave us. And I'm sort of old school about this. I love it, right? I loved this pro tip. They said, I put a thank you card in every car. And then some advisors said, I was at a such and such a flea market or a this or that, and I bought a whole bunch of somethings, and I leave a little something in the car for them that makes them go, he left this for me?
Wow.
And so when I say I'm a little old school, Ted, like I still send a thank you card for every new Quantum client that signs up. I do a handwritten card to everybody that was in the decision process, right? Because I still think there's some power beyond an email, a text that feels formatted.
Yeah.
And when this advisor group said, yeah, I sign 100 of them and I just have them there. And when they tell me the car's up and it's ready, I go out and I just walk and look and I put a thank you card in every car. I thought that's stuff we've got to remember that great advisors say they're doing. And it's a difference maker.
So important. Yeah, I agree. Love it.
Yeah.
Love all 5.
All right, I got a bonus round if you're interested.
You got one more, a bonus.
I
Okay.
got a bonus round, but if you say we're out of time,
No. Everybody, we are with David O'Brien, the CEO and co-founder of Quantum 5, discussing the 5 things the most successful service advisors do, and we're about to get a bonus round, the 6th one.
I'm going to give total credit where this one comes from, because you happen to be a fan of this person, right? So this is a Sarah Van Tyne bonus round pro tip. Now, what we all know about Sarah is she lived in a dealership working hand in hand with service advisors, right? Her BDC building life meant that they were her partners. So Sarah says, bonus round pro tip, they understand the factory warranty and they understand the extended service contract that we sell to customers. They don't stand there and go, I don't know, I'm not sure, right? They make sure that they convey the confidence to customers when they go, here's what's wrong. Of course it's covered, right? And that the advisor doesn't have to go, I don't know, that advisor knows how to go, Mr. Ings, I got you. Let me walk you through what ABC extended contract at our dealership covers. And they talk to them and they convey that confidence that cements relationship. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. Yeah. It speaks with confidence too about the brand and their understanding of the warranty and of the extended service agreement. Yep. Love it.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm grateful to my team because my team is out sharing this stuff and helping advisors accomplish this every single day. And I get to be with people like you and share the wisdom of really good people on our team that are learning this from great advisors, not just making it up.
Everybody, Quantum 5, David O'Brien is the CEO and co-founder, is making great strides working with dealers throughout the country, a lot of fixed ops roundtable dealers. He has built, and I'm not shy to say it, what we call the dream team. He really has a dream team there. Some of the best people in retail, from retail, working on the Quantum 5 team on a number of amazing projects and tools to help retailers. Everybody, if you would, to reach out to quantum5.ai. Dave mentioned Sarah Van Tyne, who's a big part of the team. And David, very grateful to all that you're doing and all that's coming up for Quantum 5 here in the near future. Excited to hear about the developments and the rollout. I've gotten a peek at some of the things you're doing behind the scenes. So amazing work.
We're starting our first OEM project that'll be rolling out to all of an OEM's dealerships. And I'm the most excited guy to tell you, as soon as I'm sure I won't be violating a do not talk order.
All right. Well, looking forward to that announcement. And I know a lot to come. Everybody, David O'Brien from Quantum 5 here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
So being a legacy automotive retailer, We've used a number of different companies over the years to help us train our people and educate our people on everything from sales process to customer service to you name it, anything relating to retail automotive. But in today's world, particularly since COVID, we really set out to try to find a partner that had a much more progressive, contemporary approach to automotive sales, automotive service, customer relations in general. And when we did that, our research led us to the folks at Quantum 5.
Anything that you can do consistently the same way gets better. So what Quantum gives us the ability to do, or has taught us how to do, is follow a very specific framework that delivers a very specific result every time. And that has been invaluable both to our veterans that have been in the business longer than me and the people that we're hiring new. Quantum came into the store as a partner. They've executed on that on every call, every interaction. And what our veteran staff finds to be the most beneficial is they get to continue to learn.
We know that Quantum is more than a vendor, they're a partner. They're actually a part of our business, a core part of our business and our daily processes. When I got into the car business many, many years ago, it was about control this, control the customer, control this. Well, now customers have as much information as dealers. So now it's more about controlling the process, understanding the customer. And that's what Quantum brings to the table. It allows you to have control of a process, understand your customer and your customer's needs, and deliver the relevant information that they need to make that informed decision, ultimately in purchasing a car, but starting with gaining that critical appointment. Quantum puts our client advisors on a pathway to prosperity. Our newer advisors see our seasoned advisors and the success they're having, and the fact that they're bought into the system and they've been on this system for years shows the new client advisors that if you buy in similarly, you're going to yield the same results, if not better. I can't speak enough to what Quantum has meant to our business and to the growth and development of our client advisors.
Please welcome Shawn Butler and Sarah Van Tyne as they sit down for a conversation discussing the retail automotive industry.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event at BG Products in Wichita, Kansas. I'm here with Shawn Butler. Shawn, welcome to the pop-up.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a joy to be here. I'm sorry that Ted couldn't be with us, but I'm glad to have you.
Well, Shawn, we've known each other for a while, but tell everybody, how did you get into the auto service industry?
I actually worked on cars from age 19 to 30. I used to do, what they call vendor work. I did paintless dent removal and painted bumpers for different dealerships. And then I got out of the business and went into manufacturing, got to travel the whole world. That situation changed, kind of searching for what to do. And somebody said, well, why don't you be a service advisor? I was like, service advisor? What's that? And I hit the ground running and took off and, never looked back. That was in 2007.
And what do you do today, Shawn?
I am a fixed operations director for parts and service for Yamansky Auto Group out of Memphis, Tennessee. I'm with the stores in East Tennessee in the Tri-Cities area.
Well, Shawn, you are such a passionate voice in this industry. What drives your enthusiasm for it?
I like to see people win. Nothing makes my heart happier than seeing somebody that came in the door and they didn't have any direction. They didn't know what they wanted to do with their life. And a year later, they're buying their first house, or I'm sending them to school. And 5 years later, they're married. They got kids. They're buying new cars. They're becoming master techs. Just watching other people succeed is truly my passion. If you do the right things by others, and if I found out that if I help others succeed and get what they want, I get what I want naturally.
Well, there's been a lot of changes in the automotive industry in the last few years. So what do you feel are going to be some of the biggest challenges for the industry in the future?
Well, I believe, the hype about the EV thing, I'm not into it. Just to be honest with you, I believe hybrids are going to be bigger, and I think that they'll switch. As soon as everybody has to force to buy $1 million worth of equipment for EV stuff, they'll switch to something else like hydrogen or something. So I believe that's going to be the biggest challenge for dealerships, is how to navigate those waters as the industry overall is changing.
Well, and that is a great point, because so much technology is changing, and there's a lot of innovation on the horizon as software and all other kinds of means continue to make strides in automotive. If going back and reflecting a little bit on your career, if there's one thing that you could change about your life or the trajectory you chose, what would it be?
Honestly, I would have been less selfish earlier, right? Because everything changed for me when I started putting others first. When I used to put myself first and was always only looking out for number one, as they say, sometimes it was great, sometimes it wasn't. A lot of highs and lows. Nowadays, with putting other people first, every day's a win.
Wow. And in that same vein, as you reflect on your career path and how you got into the industry, there's a lot of people out there that are considering automotive as a future and a career. What do you think about automotive? Is it worth pursuing this as a career?
Well, I think it's absolutely one of the best careers you can get into, because it's never the same. You're always learning, you're always progressing, you're always moving forward. So let's take a fella, if they go get a 2-year degree from a technical school, right, or lady. I have 3 female technicians at the Honda shop, and all of them came to me off the street. 2 of them have 2-year degrees at the technical school, and the other one just wanted to do it. But those people are eligible 5-10 years down the road. If they stick with their career, they're making well into the 6 figures. I have multiple techs that are making well into 6 figures, and they got a high school degree. They're just nice people who put their nose to the grindstone.
And that's just such a testament of how much you can grow in this industry and what opportunities really await. To pivot the conversation a little bit, so you've had some recent health challenges, and I know you've been a big advocate for talking about your condition, and I'd just love to have you say a few words, talk about your recent health challenge, how it's affected your life personally and professionally.
Sure. About 6 months ago, I started having some health issues, and being a guy, I was like, oh, it'll get better. And then I'm starting to take, handfuls of Aleve for this pain I was having, and I was hiding it from my wife like a real dummy. She's a nurse, so you know how that goes. And one weekend, she finally caught me up and said, why are you up walking around at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I told her about the pain I was having. So we go to the ER. They do CT scans. They do all this. It turns out I have a 4-inch tumor, and all my lymph nodes are like the size of like grapes, and you're supposed to be pretty much, you can't see them.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a tough day for them to walk in and go, hey, you got cancer. You're going to need to see all of these specialists. No.
Well, and it's just such a testament to the journey and being that vulnerable in the automotive space. And you touched on a point, and I think it is incredible to see the amount of care that has come from people in automotive in the industry. And of course, Ted Ings and his own personal battle with cancer himself, and the Fixed Ops Cares program that he's put together for charitable contributions to help people such as yourself that are going through this health battle. If you could say one thing about some of the stigma or some of the challenges that people might be hesitant to seek out a diagnosis, what advice would you give them?
Sure. Well, personally, like when it affected my personal life because of the home life, and all of a sudden everything changes, right? Yeah, you're totally focused on trying to get better. If you Google the type of cancer that they labeled me with, it's not good, right? There's 30-something% chance that we're having this conversation next year. I consider it's 100% chance because I'm still here, right? We're going to be fighting this out. But what I really want to get the message across is don't be like me, right? Be proactive, get yourself checked regularly, do the colonoscopy, do the blood test. You know your body. If you don't feel right, go get checked out. Don't put yourself in a situation where if you'd have done something 6 months or a year earlier, it's no problem. When you're speaking of the stigma, right? So I have colorectal cancer, and I can't even pronounce the long name that they gave it to. Something ends in carcinoma, and so people don't want to talk about it. Guys will hide it and stuff like that. If we're not out front and if we're not putting it out there to make people aware, and then when it comes to support, once you do find out, there's a ton of support out there that we don't even know about until obviously you get hit with something like this and you have to go, oh my Lord, what am I going to do? So Ted came right away. Me and him have been friends for like 5 years now. And as soon as I told him, he was like, oh my God, Shawn, I got to do something to get behind you. And he has the fixedopscares.org website. And so he directed that right away towards helping with me, because in today's world, you have your insurances, which I have good insurance, and all of these things, but it doesn't cover everything. The insurance might negotiate a $10,000 deal on an MRI or a PET scan, and the bill's 12 or 13. Guess who gets to pay the other 2 or 3, right? And unless you're independently wealthy, you can't be prepared for a battle like this, and heaven forbid, if I'm not here next year, I don't want my wife to be saddled with $100,000 worth of medical bills. We got life insurance and all that, but you really want to take away from her and my 6-year-old to pay out medical bills? Absolutely not. So you have to find ways to reach out and get support. And from the bottom of my heart, everybody who has helped and contributed, whether it be by messages, by prayers, put me on prayer list, donating. Oh my gosh, it's just been unbelievable. I have been contacted by literally thousands of people in the last 3 weeks since this came out, since Ted took it, to the airwaves, so to speak. And I'm blessed to know people like yourself. We go back like 7 or 8 years now. In Ted's 5 years, and I have a lot of people that support me any way that they can, and all of it is well.
Well, and as a reminder to our viewers today, please check out Shawn Butler's fundraiser that we have on the Fixed Ops Roundtable website. You'll find that information to donate directly to that there. And Shawn, I just want to say thank you again for sharing your story, sharing your journey, and then also bringing and shining a light on cancer and really the importance of early screening and prevention. So everybody, Shawn Butler here on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Van Tyne. Please stay tuned. We got more coming up on the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event at BG Products.
No need for acapella. We've got our own Steve Apicella of Strategic DX up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Steve Apicella is the CEO of Strategic DX, a great friend of the retail and fixed ops communities. Steve, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, FORTSTOCK.
We are in Woodstock here. I love the background. You and I have talked about this before. I love live music. It fuels me. And even though I have certain genres of music that I love more than others, if there's live music somewhere, count me in. And what I love about this Woodstock thing, being a lover of live music, is, this was in, what was it, Bethel, New York, right?
Yes, that's very good. Yeah.
Bethel, yeah. It was supposed to be in a town, I think, called Whalekill, and they hopped out. They opted out of it, and then it got moved to Bethel. But 400,000 people at this event. And all the great acts. I mean, that's well documented, but 400,000 people in southern New York.
Yeah.
And I think they did Woodstock 99. I want to say was in Rome, up by Syracuse, up in that neck of the woods. I think I got that right. I love that stuff. Last summer, my son went to Oxford for the summer to study, and my wife and I flew him out there to, it was a good reason to break away and go see London. We love it out there. And they have a thing called British Summertime, which is in Hyde Park. 50,000 people attend it a day, and big acts, Pearl Jam, Rolling Stones, Adele, Elton John. I mean, just really cool. 50,000 people is a lot of people. If you go into a Coliseum or whatever, it might have 20,000 people. A football stadium,
50,000.
might have a big football stadium might have like 80,000 people. Think 400,000 people attended this historic event. It's crazy. And when people get together, bad things happen there, of course. That's pretty well documented. But community getting together under one cause and celebrating is cool. I love it. And again, I think it's so appropriate for the Fixed Ops Roundtable because that's what's happening here. Community together, fight the same thing. I love to be a part of it. I love being here. I wish I was old enough to be there at Woodstock.
Well, we get to learn a little bit about history at the Fixed Ops Roundtable from all these different themes that we're doing, the Roaring 20s, back to the 80s, and now here at FORTSTOCK. So,
and I haven't been there, but I understand that there's some kind of museum now there. Have you been there yourself?
I have been there, yes, and it's pretty fascinating. And in fact, we're going to have some of the footage here on the roundtable. So
I love it. That's cool. Yeah. So I understand there's a museum and an amphitheater and like a historical marker there, and I think that's cool. Yeah,
love it. What a way to set the theme. And Steve, you've really reset the bar here at retail, at Fixed Ops, especially, by bringing everybody together and connecting the disconnected, which have been that way for so long, and now it's a whole new game.
As you know, it's our mantra: connect the disconnected. Our platform's called Your Dealer Experience. Our company is Strategic DX, but it's connect the disconnected. And using the same theme here is trying to let the music continue on, and to imagine listening to your favorite songs. I'm that guy that. I love what I do for a living. I love the people I interact with and the clients and dealers. I love my time in the car too, when I can, crank up my music, and it's serenity for me. I love it. It takes me away, but could you imagine having your favorite song come on and it abruptly ends during the first verse? And there's so much more, right? There's a chorus, and there's another verse, and there's a bridge, and there's this whole complete thing. Well, our auto retail industry has all that. We have fixed ops and we have variable ops, and we've got all other things that surround the total ownership journey that right now, all too often during the first verse, the music abruptly ends. And our platform is to help continue that music along and to keep that in a crescendo through fixed ops and through purchasing the next vehicle. And one of the things, the time that we have here, Ted, is I think of something like F&I, which is a major cornerstone of what we do. It's such a critically valuable part of automotive retail, but all of this value, revenue, and relationship that exists with F&I for both the customer and the dealer all resides today in what I call the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation. It's not just the first verse, it's a couple of notes. And it's here and on like that. And how many customers, and again, I'm an advocate for keeping F&I the way it is. We're just extending it beyond that moment, and to allow customers to, and service advisors on behalf of customers, to capture all that missed opportunity. And then when these products are used, to really simplify it. So again, it's not that screech of the record and it stops when a customer comes in and says, hey, I bought my car here. I bought some protection products and need service support. And then enter the sound effect of the screeching record.
That is so well, Steve. That is so well said, because you're right. Once the customer leaves the F&I experience, the F&I office, they've only heard part of the song. They've only heard, and they, you know what? They may not have been offered even all the different genres, right? And the way
it's interesting. So F&I menus are intended for compliance reasons to present 100% of the products 100% of the time. But is that the way the customer perceives it? And remember, the architecture of F&I today mostly is let's keep these valuable products the world's greatest secret until the customer enters the F&I environment, whatever it is. Let's show that customer, doesn't matter the number, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 products in the form of a menu for the first time during a 2 or 3 hour car buying process, and then expect them to make a decision right now or never thereafter. And then the music stops. Is that the way it should be? And again, keep the F&I menu there's a lot of value there, right? For the dealer and the customer.
It has to be presented. Yeah, sure.
But is that where all the F&I revenue and relationship value should exist alone, like it does today? Or should we let the music continue on and make those accessible on the customer's smartphone and show them all the products they purchased and give them a digital pathway to file a claim if they're eligible to do that. Give the service advisor the same accessibility and transparency, but then in the same motion, because you can show a customer or service advisor on behalf of a customer, here's everything you did buy, you can organically show them everything they didn't buy in the same environment and give them a digital pathway to learn about it and be inspired by it and then purchase it. Why not? It's 2023. Why are we stopping the music before the first chorus even hits? And that's the thing, this ownership journey, one connected thing from beginning to end, leading to fixed ops. I say this and I say it with great respect. I see a lot of the folks on the Fixed Ops Roundtable talking about enhancements in fixed ops, leadership in fixed ops. Mm-hmm. If we lose the customer before they get there, that's a shame. Yeah. And this customer's already made a financial vote. They've already trusted this dealership. They've already purchased a car. Why does the music stop? And it shouldn't. And what you can't do either is you can't let the first part of the song, the first verse go, and then jump to the second verse or the bridge without all the stuff in between. It's got to be one continuous orchestrated thing if our great industry ever desires anything more than a one-time transaction. And again, if we're just being soberly honest with ourselves, retention's horrible in automotive retail, and it shouldn't be that way. And it's leadership and process. Those are the two things. Intentionality's there, but intentionality is not enough. You can't just hope customers are going to come back. Hope's not a strategy. You have to have leadership, and you got to connect those disconnected parts. Sales can keep refining sales. Fixed ops can and should keep refining fixed ops. But we got to fix the gap in between the two if we're ever going to achieve this the way that the auto retail industry should be earning customers for a lifetime.
You've done a great job in having us look at the parallel of Amazon, which is certainly not a one-time sale. That customer comes back and trusts Amazon over and over, and they've made it trustworthy and they've made it easy, right? And for the
it's our blueprint. People dismiss this all the time because I talk about it, as you know, all the time. The blueprint, the world's largest retailer. They're $1 trillion plus or minus valued company, depending on the day. Why? It's not because they can sell something one time. Their model's not built on that. Their model's on creating this entire experience. When you buy something from Amazon today, it's part of our culture. We know how this works. It's going to show up on our doorstep. We know when it's going to show up. If you have a problem with it, is there anybody easier to return than Amazon?
No.
These guys are great at it.
It's amazing.
Right?
Amazingly easy.
But they
Too
do it
easy
because
even.
they don't want to be the masters of return.
Right.
They want to be the masters of sales, because when you can return it easily and you get your money back right away, you don't even think about it. You go right back to Amazon and you reorder. And that's the game plan, the reoccurring customer. And they figured that out clearly, brilliantly. They're very, very good at it. But, when I bring up Amazon to automotive retail, a lot of people dismiss it immediately. They're like, Steve, this is a cloud. This is this is not who we are. And I say, to the contrary, it's exactly who we are. Amazon is chock full of brick and mortar and chock full of people to deliver their products and services. It's not different. They just figured out the desired engagement, continuous desired engagement. Let the music play before, during, and after the sale that organically has that customer come back again and again. And the part we should look at is everything's become commoditized. Everything's become commoditized. Is that Amazon is not even the cheapest resource online anymore. Doesn't matter.
Right. That's right.
Doesn't matter.
Not even close. Yeah.
People love the experience of it.
It's easy.
They don't look at anything else, and they just organically come back again and again and again. And shouldn't that be the way it should be for our great dealers? And you can't, this is the other thing, which is a mistake. It's a tactical mistake. You can't just, again, hope that if I give them a good experience when they're buying their car, they'll just come back. We can't just think that if they had one good experience in fixed ops, that they'll just organically come back. Connect the disconnected. Business is built on relationships. We all know that. But good, longstanding relationships require relevant communication to thrive. And if we're not, it's not if we're talking, it's not if we're speaking, it's how in 2023 and beyond that matters. And, again, this music, do customers want to protect their car? You bet they do.
Of course they do.
Do they want to hear the whole song? You bet they do, right? We just have to connect those disconnected parts to enable them and to inspire them to do exactly that. And that's what customers want today. Nobody wants to be sold. Nobody wants to be clubbed over the head in 2023. We don't need psychedelics to get through the moment. We need leadership and process, because our customers want to be our customers. We just find a way to make it difficult. And part of that is that fragmentation that occurs when every dealership operates sales and service like two separate companies under one roof. And that creates a fragmentation to the customer that once they buy their car, the music stops.
Steve, you utilize that device that's in all of our hands and every consumer's hands, the phone. And by the way, that's for most of us the desired method, right, of contact and recontact. Talk to us about
let's do that. 'Cause I saw just in the screen, I can do the same thing here, right? And everybody else watching this can do the same thing. Our smartphones are so centric in our lives. They're not only with us.
Everywhere.
Most of the time, they're in front of us. Remember the days of losing your keys and the anxiety that would occur? What about losing your smartphone in 2023? Panic, right? It's the center of our universe. And the truth is, it's not if we communicate, but how. And these are the things, dealers know and have known for a long time. And again, I honor BDC departments. I honor everybody that pursues staying connected. But if the methods are phone solicitations, who likes that, right? If the method is junk email, who likes that?
No.
The biggest misperception in our industry, text messaging. Again, I don't tear this down because some people want to leverage it because they think it's the best thing in the world. Ted, you and I have known each other for a while. You're on my contact list and I'm on yours. So text messaging is great between friends and family because we know who each other are, and it's a great way to communicate. What happens rhetorically when you, Ted, or anybody else watching this gets a random text message?
That's right. That's right.
Not engaged, right? And even on an Apple device, it says, delete and report junk.
Yes.
Right?
That's directly where it goes.
Exactly, right? And then it'll stop those communications moving forward. random text messages in 2023 are no better
Doesn't work.
than a junk email or a phone solicitation. And then there's one more pathway that dealers still use, which is remarkable, and that's postal.
Yeah.
Who's engaging this stuff anymore? I mean, junk mail is what it is, whether it's in your email or in your mailbox. How we communicate matters. So we leverage push notifications. Everybody knows what this is by action.
Yes. And those are great.
Notifications are you missed a phone call, you missed a text message, or if you have the ESPN app on your phone, you get the latest sports score, or if you have the WeatherBug app, a weather update, or whatever it might be, right? But the reason why they have the highest engagement rate is because it's organic to the phone. And we trust it. We know who it's from. And you click on that banner that pops on your phone, and what does it do? It takes you to the desired result. If you missed a phone call and you click the missed phone call, what does it do? It dials a number,
Yeah.
right? If you click on an ESPN update and you click on it, what does it do? It takes you into the detail of what it was that was presented in the banner. Shouldn't dealers communicate with their customer in a way that's appreciated and that's clear and transparent and, most importantly, effective? Business is built on relationships, as I said before. Good, longstanding, healthy relationships require relevant communication to thrive. And this is true. I tell people, look introspectively. This is true in personal relationships. It's true in business relationships. You can work hard to acquire your significant other. And then once you've acquired them and you've done everything to be this great person and really communicate well and treat them like they should be treated, and then you suddenly stop communicating in a way that they appreciate. This is how personal and business relationships end very quickly.
Yep.
And the same is true with a customer. If you desire the reoccurring customer beyond a one-time transaction, you must earn it. It's not just going to come your way. And again, don't take my word for it. The statistics are everywhere. It is a shame of the mass defection our industry has after the vehicle sale. It's a shame. And customers should be coming back without even thinking about it, because you've connected with them in a way that inspires and prompts that desired action.
And
again,
Steve, once I have, by the way, once a dealer utilizes your platform, Strategic DX, your dealer experience, once they turn it on, okay, and it's going, I would think it's kind of turnkey, okay? I mean, it's
pretty automated. You and I talked about this before, is that, I tell clients that we work with, and we work with thousands and thousands of dealerships today and dozens of administrators today. And I'm proud of all of them. We're doing a major dealer group launch here very shortly. And although I'm proud of that, I'm proud of every dealer we touch, single rooftop to a couple of stores to 150 stores. And because the impact on our great industry is what continues this music, and we need it. We have to. If we want to propel fixed ops, we got to stop the mass defection directly after the vehicle sale. Much of this is automated in our platform. To your point, it's dealer branded.
Okay, yeah.
It's an Apple app, it's an Android app, and it's a web app, meaning any way you want to connect as a consumer, that pathway is there with the dealer. It's the dealer's customer and should always be their relationship. Even as a vendor, contributor, I'm not trying to stick my brand in there. It's the dealer's brand. It's the dealer's relationship. That's what we're doing as the support community, is not to propel our name. It's to strengthen and propel the dealer's name and their brand with their customer. And again, love doing it. I do tell people that are interested is ask yourself rhetorically, should this exist? These easy things to inspire the reoccurring customer beyond the one-time transaction in a relevant way, to deploy a why return here value proposition beyond the why buy here value proposition. If this should exist and you're ready to go all in, then it's time. If you're not ready to go all in postal mail or the separation between the two departments and business as usual is your way, then I'm probably not your guy. And I want to inspire people that think that way to rethink it, because it's a self-inflicted wound right now why the music stops the way it does.
And Steve, you do inspire people greatly. You've done a whole lot here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and you've created a whole new awareness and a whole new vision, and it's reality. It's right now. Everybody, if you're ready to go all in and learn more about Steve's platform, your dealer experience, he's easy to reach. Steve Apicella is the CEO of Strategic DX. They're online at strategic-dx.com. Steve, that's your email I see going across the bottom of the ticker there at the bottom. Steve at strategicdx.com. Easy to reach there. A lot of valuable stuff here at the Roundtable. A lot of interaction with a lot of our attendees and our speakers. And Steve, we're very grateful to you, for breaking down those silos and bringing it all together here and keeping the music playing.
Yeah, and Ted, thank you. I want to just mention a couple of quick things before we break. One thing is, even though I'm a digital contributor, I don't think people don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
People matter, but so does intelligent process. When you marry the two of those things together, you create magic. And Ted, I will say, and for your audience, we love what you do. We love the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm grateful to be a part of it. The pop-up events, I love them. Again, I want to be a part of that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm cheering for you and for the whole community. I don't think everything's broken in our great industry. That's not the way I feel.
No.
But there are process gaps that have to be filled. And I'm really focused with my great team in filling those. So thank you for the time. Really grateful.
Steve, very grateful and humbled to have you here as well. Steve Apicella, everybody, the CEO. Reach out to him at Strategic DX, strategic-dx.com. You see his email at the bottom of the screen. Everybody, Steve Apicella here at FORTSTOCK at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Let the music play, baby. Go.
The most important relationship in the auto sales industry is between the dealer and their customer. But that relationship is often undermined by an overlooked problem. Consider this. How many products does the dealer offer in their F&I environment? 4, 5, 6, or more? Through how many different third-party administrators and product providers? Traditionally, it's more than a few. As a direct result, how many different pathways exist for the customer or service drive to engage in F&I product service? As many ways as there are F&I providers. And how many of those ways are modern and connected, or even desired, leading the dealer to increase revenue and more meaningful retention? 0. The elephant in the room is the maze of service options ensuing from the various F&I products, 800 numbers, and time-consuming online claim forms create an engagement nightmare for both the customer and service drive. Even if each provider has a modern app, it still contributes to the problem. If the maze of required service pathways were disclosed at the point of sale, customers would probably turn and run. It's no one's fault. Truth is, the multiple TPA product provider F&I environment is tactically smart for the dealer. Dealers choose the best products through the best providers, who offer their unique attributes to strengthen the dealer's position. While the use of electronic menus employed by dealers presenting multiple TPA products improves compliance and customer acceptance, it does little to address the dizzying array of antiquated pathways currently available to the customer and dealership when service is needed. Your dealer experience solves the dealer-customer engagement problem, especially when multiple providers exist. YDE deploys one dealer-branded technological platform for servicing all products sold in the F&I environment, modernizing the process and ensuring the customer and dealer are always connected. Both customers and the dealer's service drive can view all F&I product purchases and details in one place, even with multiple administrators. YDE enables customers to submit a claim, receive approvals, and engage in service from one dealer-branded solution, creating an intuitive service experience for everyone. Dealers can additionally communicate directly to customers with service reminders, announcements, product offerings, events, and more, creating a new customer experience moment powered by the dealer. YDE fortifies F&I administrators and product providers with improved loss control, greater claim accuracy, and faster processing times, while leveraging transformative claim adjudication methods and next-generation workflow efficiencies. More importantly, it's a powerful sword for the F&I administrators and product providers to successfully compete on the battlefield of customer experience, to increase revenue and more meaningful customer retention. There's no need to change existing F&I processes, products, or mechanisms. YDE connects the disconnected, strengthens relationships, and builds greater profits. We believe it's the dealer's customer and should always be their relationship.
What connects us better than a festival as rad as FORTSTOCK? Up next, we've got Bob Gower and the team from Traver Connect.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are at the pop-up event in Madison, Wisconsin at the Kaiser Automotive Group. Shawn Kingrey is with me. Shawn, great event so far.
It's been an amazing event so far. Let me start. I'll let this panel, because there's such a big part of the change that we've done here. I'll let them introduce themselves. Judy, you go first.
My name is Judy Spearman. I'm Vice President of BDC Solutions at Traver Connect, and it's an honor to be here.
I'm Bob Gower, COO of Traver Connect, and it's always a pleasure to be with our partners.
And I'm Karen Rust. I'm Senior Director of Client Support. And again, thank you for the invite today.
So, Shawn, this is not typical. We've been focusing on the people at Kaiser, but we've got the main partner here with Traver Connect. Talk to us a little bit about the last 6 months, why you brought Traver Connect in, what have been some of the wins, and maybe even if there's been any challenges along the way.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Ted. So, first of all, Judy and Karen and myself and Bob had a relationship when I was in Florida as well. It was small. It was they did some overflow phone calls for us. We're coming up here. The one thing that became very evident at the time was 7 stores and now 8 stores is that they had a phone problem. The phones are ringing off the hook, and we all know what that looks like in the old-fashioned service departments. And that's what we had, to be very honest. The phones were controlling us, which means the advisors are controlling our schedule. They're scheduling what's convenient for them and not what's convenient for us or the client. So ultimately, it was a phone call to Karen, to where it started. Good, bad, or ugly, here it is. And you talked about the challenges, Ted. You know, change is tough. Nobody likes change. Nobody likes change. Some stores have welcomed it and put their arms around it. Other stores have turned their back to it and fought it. But, we have significant growth since November. And realistically, Ted, the only change we've made is X-Time and Traver. We're doing some stuff now, but since November, those are the only 2 things we've had. And we're talking monster percentage changes.
Bob, Traver Connect works with dealers all across the nation. I've known John for many years as well. Is this an unusual story, or are these some of the challenges that you're hearing that dealers have today?
Yeah, of course, when you bring up the word change, people either run from it or embrace it. Most of them run from it, just so you guys all know that. So the real key there is to earn their trust. It's a trusting relationship. You're empowering us to work and engage with your clients, your customers, so the end consumer. And those consumer touches are so valuable today. And the challenges in stores like yours is that not enough people, not enough staffing to handle those calls. You got the best person handling the call, the ASM, and the worst person because they're busy multitasking, doing other things. So when you start to put those pieces together, I say the dealership in your world today especially is complex. It's very complex. So can we take some of that complexity away and let them do their job, which is face-to-face with the customer and doing status updates. So I think it's a great combination. And then I think the embracing part comes with the trust.
It does, 100%. If your team doesn't buy into it, it's not going to work. If the manager walks in the service drive in the morning and said, I don't want Traver to be here, you're done. It's not going to work. Everybody has to be buying. They have to drink the Kool-Aid, in all due respect. That's what it comes down to.
That is true. Must drink the Kool-Aid. Have to be on board.
service managers, service advisors, everybody needs to buy in.
Right.
That's what we're there for, your partner.
Judy, are these unusual challenges, the phones and not having enough people to answer them, I would imagine at the right time? Because in my world, I would believe there's probably a lot more calls for service than any other department at the dealership.
You're absolutely right. Pre-COVID, it was about, 2/3 of the amount of ROs, and now it's 100% of the amount of ROs that a store handles, maybe a little bit more. So if you have 1,000 RO store, you're getting 1,000 phone calls a month. I mean, and that's on the low end. So, it is an absolute challenge for all the dealerships. Who wants to walk in to get their second most expensive item tended to someone who's doing this in their face, right? They're putting their finger up they're trying to answer the phone and trying to take care of people. It just doesn't work. You have to give it 100%. And the other thing, to kind of allude to what Shawn said, is when we answer the phones, it is our only priority. It is what we do and what we do well. So our agents prioritize our client's schedule. And we definitely talk about the partnership. We group text, we talk to the GMs at each location, the fixed ops directors, the service managers. It's a top-down system. So we have regular communication with them, because that's really the engagement and the level of communication dictates how well we do with our partners.
Strong. Shawn, you got here last fall. How were the phones being handled when you got here? Who was taking the calls for customers calling in, for example, for service appointments?
The advisors were, when they could, and I don't want to be ultimately negative about it, but they were answering it what was convenient for them. If a client was staying in front of them, to Judy's point, you get the finger up, but wait a minute, are they on the phone, not answering the phone, or the phone just goes unanswered, period? And that was the biggest complaint. And you can see it in the CSI numbers as well. Again, and ultimately, they're scheduling what's convenient for them. Is on Thursdays, magically, nothing gets scheduled for Friday afternoons. Well,
past 4 p.m.
Yeah, but nothing past 4 p.m. because the advisor wants to go home, and that's not what they want to do. And ultimately, guys, that's not how you run a business. I mean, it's a business. It's not about friendships. You do have to run a business. You do. And again, if a client, you have to schedule what's convenient for the client around their schedule, not our schedule.
Karen, as I look around the country at other dealerships, I look at other positions, we would never, ever even think of having, for example, the finance or business manager closing out contracts, dealing with customers, and then having to handle incoming calls at the same time. Why is it historically that in our business in retail, we've expected the advisor or the service consultant to be able to do all those tasks?
I think that's just the way it started back in the day, right? And now we've developed BDCs, and we've now been able to help those dealerships, and more dealerships are taking on that and realizing they need to help. They realize that advisor cannot stand there and take phone calls and help that customer and do a 100% job at everything they do. So giving us the phones is taking that away from them, but gives them more time with that customer on the drive, and you get more personalized service that way.
Bob, I've heard in the past the phrase, no resistance, no sale. And certainly we've all had our share of resistance at the car business. But initially going back to what you and John have crafted in the beginning, the fact that you would have a business development consultant or agent handle the phone calls, there was resistance early on, but are you seeing that start to change and now more acceptance to the fact that we need to have a specialist as you are handling the phones?
What's interesting is if we've been doing BDCs for 30 years, right? We started putting BDCs in stores. So today, if you look at our business, we have a couple thousand stores. 98% of them are saying, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is have you take that off our shoulders. Can you manage the people? Can you hire the people? Can you train them? Because they got to be really good. Yeah. Where, in these stores, when we answer the phone, it's just not picking up the phone. It's taking the customer through the fact that there may be OEM-specific or dealer-specific scheduled maintenance that are due. So if I show up for an oil change as a waiter with 80,000 miles on my Equinox, and I get here, and it's not 45 minutes, but it's 3 hours because there's multiple flushes that GM recommends, then you lose that customer. Right. You surprise them. So the real issue here is the engagement itself, not just answering the phone, but the quality of the engagement. We're not rushed. As Judy said, we're focused. So given the fact dealers have options, we can either do this for them, we can do it with them as a backstop, or we can teach them to do it most of them still defer to, we'd rather you guys take it off our plates.
Yeah.
Because you've got other things. You got pickup and delivery, you got mobile service. It gets even more complicated this year and next year than it is this right now, currently.
Shawn, this has got to be an exciting time for you because ultimately, Traver Connect is going to benefit your employees, the people, hardworking people who work here, and it's going to make them more productive, and ultimately, it's going to be better for the Kaiser Automotive customer.
It's spot on, Ted. I got to tell you, they may not see that up front. You're ultimately going to get a ton of feedback and pushback, and as we all know, as the Baxter said earlier, that you have a lot of 40 and 50-year employees here that are just used to doing it their way. But boy, after you install it, after you get through the bloodiness, as our good friend Owen Moon once said, you get through the wall and you take the blood, then you get past that, and everybody sees the light at the end of the tunnel.
Bob, last question for today. I know Traver Connect has a lot going on with the latest technology and employing some of the best practices with people as well, who specialize on the phones, which are still a huge part of our business. What's out on the horizon, Bob, for Traver Connect? What can you give us any insight, anything, any future things happening that we need to be aware about or looking out?
Well, if you look at, just being here with the organization this week, you've got a lot of people here with high energy. It's really exciting to be in the lane with them on our visit while we're here at Kaiser this week with you guys. If you look, the majority of things we're doing currently is inbound. If I look at where the biggest deficit is today is still outbound. If you don't have enough people to take inbound, how are you getting the outbound? And outbound to me is redefined today as retention. So every OEM is looking for certain retention numbers. No matter who you are, you're looking for certain, and every different rooftop you have.
Money-wise, too.
Money-wise,
they're putting big money behind.
But at the end of the day, if you look at keeping that customer long-term, and we know we have a defection rate of, 60% of our customers over a 10-year period. If we could keep that at 70%, it would be a killer for us for new car sales, for servicing vehicles. And I think the Baxters put it well when Shawn said there are more cars with 12 years old in this marketplace than ever before. Mm-hmm. So I'm not calling today. Just so you know, we very seldom take an oil change call today. Mm-hmm. The calls we take are very complex. So if you look at this, where we're going next is helping the customers through the complexity of the call itself, setting them up properly in the lane. They're more than oil changes. Mm-hmm. AI is going to struggle a little bit there, but we know that AI is a play. So it's a little bit on the horizon because we know we need it. But outbound retention to me is really important. And that includes a lot of other things like pickup and delivery and mobile service. And you have enough people in the dealerships to handle that because your customers are going to start expecting it, right? So as we continue to grow with our stores, we're like 1 or 2 steps ahead of where they might be. So we can provide those services where they might be a little shorthanded. So today, if I look at just pickup and delivery, we talked about a little bit last night. Big stores at 2,500 ROs are doing maybe 5 a day.
Right.
5 a day, because that's their capacity, right? It's not the shop capacity, it's their capacity. So we're helping them grow through that. And there's more to come.
All right. Great information, exciting times. We're here, everybody, with the Kaiser Automotive Group, with the team from Traver Connect here in Wisconsin. Stay with us. We're at the Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up event. We'll be right back.
Hi, John Traver here at Traver Connect. Thanks for joining us on our Service BDC video today. If you've already partnered with us, we appreciate your partnership over these past years. If you're new to us, we look forward to getting to hear your story and come alongside you relative to Service BDCs. When you hear the term Service BDC, the first word for me that comes to mind is calls. That's what really a Service BDC is going to be built around, both inbound and outbound calls. Those calls are going to load your shop, it's going to drive your RO count, and ultimately, it's going to tee up your next retail unit. One reason the Service BDC is so successful today, so important today, is it has a massive amount of opportunity in the form of those incoming calls. The cell phone changed everything. It's increased the amount of calls to dealerships, and as a result, we have to have a team of people centralized to take those calls. It's always been busy in service, but today, when you ask dealers, they tell you they need help.
With only 3 service riders, it's virtually impossible for my service riders to load the shop effectively and efficiently in order to keep my shop full.
The second thing I'd be thinking about if I were you is, what do my calls sound like? What is our statement of work in those calls? Are we asking for email, address, phone number? Do we use a time and mileage approach to make sure we're pre-selling to any additional needs, or are we just order taking and then trying to take care of the customer when they get there and tell them we need their car all day? So what you want to do is establish a clear roadmap for how your calls are going to be handled. We'll help you do that, whether it's virtually here through our BDC or we do it with your team at your dealership. So perhaps you're like some dealers, when they hear us talk about centralizing the calls here in Dallas, Texas, they wonder what that call might sound like.
One thing I like about Traver is that my customers feel as though they're dealing with someone within my own store. I've had several customers come to my store and ask to speak to Chelsea when my people that realize Chelsea doesn't work there, she actually works in the call center in Dallas.
I have you
Thank
scheduled
you.
for the recall. Was there anything else?
Let me tell you, you're like the most professional person I've ever spoken to, I think.
My pleasure.
Good job.
Thank you.
No, I'm serious. I'm being completely serious. No, we don't need anything else. That was great.
You have a wonderful day.
Okay, you're doing a great job. You sound good on the phone. So
Oh,
when I see Herb, I'll tell him he's a great person on the phone.
We're built for service BDCs, 60,000 square feet of workstations and personnel trained to take inbound calls. There's a handful of ways we can help you. We can help you with a virtual service BDC where we take your calls. We can help you with outbound campaigns, filling in those open spots in your schedule, turnkey, not just getting the customer to call, but actually taking the call and loading it in your scheduler. 3, training for your business development manager, for your business development rep. How do they take these calls? We'll bring them into our customer experience center if they're a BDM, or we'll provide online training for those BDRs. Leadership education for you. You're wondering, what are my KPIs? What should my staffing plan be? We can walk you through this in less than a day. And then tools, everything from texting, mobile payments, even in-dealership software to help your BDRs. So hopefully you see we're built for service BDCs. This is what we do, not what we talk about, and we hope to be talking to you soon.
That's a wrap on day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable's FORTSTOCK event. Make sure to vote for our Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the event. And join us on the stairway to FORTSTOCK for our last day of the festival. We'll see you groovy guys and gals tomorrow bright and early at 9 a.m. Peace out.